They were my best friends growing up.
From Black Can.
I didn't want to leave the hotel. I was scared too.
Meanwhile, you bag, it smelled like straight horse booty, bro. That's crazy. Welcome to Tabletop Topics. I'm your host, Jeff.
And of course, Jeff.
There
you go.
Jeff.
Good job, sir.
Why don't you lead us off today?
So we have a new special guest. A long time coming.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
You hit.
What did he say?
Stop. You're fucking up.
It's one of them.
Got it.
All right.
Yay! So after fucking up the intro, we have a new special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh man, I don't know how to follow up after that with that voice.
That was pretty solid.
My name's Brooke. I'm sorry.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm Brooke. Work with Jeff. I just met the other Jeff, but it's okay. We all Jeffs up in here.
Yeah,
For sure,
that's
for
what's
sure.
up. We'll call her Jeff number 3, and then we'll call him Bruce J number 4.
Bruce J.
Bruce
what
J
I'm
number 4.
talking
Yeah, he's just chilling on the floor.
Well,
But-
thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
excited.
I appreciate you
Yeah,
for
appreciate you
taking the
coming
time
by,
out
yeah.
of your day, because again, you're the one that, you're kind of
talk enough, right?
yeah. Well, it's not that you're kind of doing us a favor by coming in, and on top of that,
Gracing us with your presence.
exactly.
No,
And
I
then
love podcasts, so.
That's
cool
fire.
beans, cool beans.
Any particular ones you?
Oh,
normally
don't
listen
make me shout out.
No,
I
it's
mean,
okay.
obviously, crime junkie at first. I love crime and paranormal and psychology degree. So.
Ooh.
Okay,
Did
cool
that kind of
beans.
stuff. Liked Crime Junkie. Got a little weird though, but
How
listen,
so? What
So
happened?
they had like a whole controversy where they weren't, doing their research or they weren't crediting their research.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So I kind of backed off for a little bit and started doing, and that's why we drink, which is two chicks that just hang out. One drinks wine, one drinks
Oh, that's
milkshakes.
fire.
Yeah, but the thing is, they lived in LA. One of them was like a Nickelodeon writer, and the other one was a prop maker for Marvel.
For Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's
I was
pretty
like,
nice.
oh, you're just gonna like have a fun fact about
Yeah,
it?
that's what I'm saying. You just gonna walk past
Fun
that.
fact.
They just like created a podcast and became a podcast. I was like, what
That's
the hell?
nuts.
But yeah,
That's what's
they
up.
do paranormal and crime at the same time. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Oh,
And
that
they
is
stopped
pretty
doing it because they weren't.
No, they still do the podcast thing, and then I started bringing up Crime Junkie again. But when you got and that's why we drink, where it's kind of like this, where you just talk.
Yeah,
Enjoy
it's
it,
like
see where
free
it
flow.
goes.
It's pretty
Yeah.
chill. Yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's definitely like my
That's
top one.
fire.
But yeah, love
That's fire.
podcasts. Obviously, never thought I'd be on one. So
Hey, that's what's up. And of course, we're definitely gonna have you back again, maybe next time.
yeah, because I talk so much.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, I ain't trying to say all that,
Hey,
but
we all got talent.
I can say, we're good at talking. I can say this: when I clock into work, I'll be standing there for about 30 minutes just having conversation with her, and it'll jump from topic to topic to topic, and it's like what we were originally talking about.
Yeah.
Really-
I mean, he got a taste of that this
Oh, yeah, like,
afternoon.
in
Walked
the-
in, took us 30 minutes to
That was
start.
fire.
yeah, I mean that
Oh,
was
for
what's
real.
up. I mean,
That's
we're
fire.
introducing you to Bruce like we
That's
do
fire.
everybody else, but
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. But so are we going to talk about the trip?
Yeah, we could talk about
All right. So apparently, Brooke was supposed to go to
Paris.
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 Ah,
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
let's dive in.
Yeah, for anybody listening, I work with an airline at an airport. That's how things go. That's where you work. But I grew up in the airline industry. My mom worked for the same airline, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I used to fly for free.
Oh, cool.
If you
cool.
work for the airline, you tend to fly for free. You'd think it was.
Right.
But I had this whole plan
Before
for
COVID.
my boyfriend. Basically, I wanted to take him to see Lionel Messi. He's a big soccer player fan, loves Messi. I wanted to take him to Paris for like a week, go see PSG.
Yeah.
I was part of their membership for PSG. I got everything planned out. I worked my butt off I did 50, 60-hour weeks.
Let me tell you, when I saw her, she was exhausted every single day. Like I would literally say, Brooke, you have dark bags under your eyes. She'd be like, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
he's
for
like-
letting me know that.
Yeah, he's like, you look like crap, man. You look like crap.
You look like shit. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up. You know
Listen, not to go off a slight tangent, I never know why people are like, hey man, you look like shit. I'm like, thanks man. You really needed, you could have kept pushing, but I'm glad you took the time.
I'm glad, yeah. You let me know you brought that up.
Because you're so straightforward with everybody that people feel like they can be straightforward with you.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they say what they. But then again, it's me.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. Well, I like when people are like, man, you look like a goddess. I'm like, thanks, man. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. Yeah.
Then she's gonna be like,
Two
what
ends
do you
of the
want?
spectrum.
She's gonna be like, what do you want now?
Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna take him to Paris. Had it all planned out. I've been planning it since April. He had no idea. No idea I was doing it. Finally, was pretty much set. We were ready to go. I had everything refundable just in case, but I like 3 weeks before it was supposed to go, it was time to tell him. So I texted his mom. His mom is currently sick. Told her what's going on, and she's like, absolutely not. She was like, absolutely not.
Damn.
She's like, he can't afford it. He's in school currently.
Right.
She's like, there's no way he can afford it. I was like, well, I'm paying for everything. I had everything paid for. I was doing it all. He just had to show up. I even got my passport ready.
No, that's a girlfriend right there.
And she's like, no, absolutely not. And then once we got the whole financial part figured out, once she realized I truly had it all covered, because I ended up telling him, and I was like, we can't go. And that was heartbreaking. You don't ever want to tell somebody.
Yeah.
And be like, by the way, psych.
Psych, can't. Yeet.
Yeah.
So for 3 weeks.
I ended up, that's so funny. Like, such an inappropriate sound. It's just like, everybody's like, oh man, that sucks.
Bam!
I was looking for the hot gotti.
Shots to the chest.
That's what it felt like. It's like,
It hurt.
It hurt so bad.
Because you worked so hard.
Bro,
dude, I mean, the 4 months I just thought about, I was like, it was really hard. I struggled a lot with like how angry I was. Because it ended up coming down to, she understood that I could afford it, or like I had figured it out, and then her response was just, well, what if she dies while we're away, because she's sick.
Oh, yeah, she threw it in her face.
And it then came down to, well, what if I die while you're away? And I'm like, well, that immediately cancels it. Like, I can't, you can't go after that. So I was like, all right, you know what? Let me figure it out 3 weeks out. I ended up going with a cruise. We had a great time on the cruise. It was nice.
Where'd you end up going?
Bahamas. Everybody goes to Bahamas. Went to Nassau and Princess Cays.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good. It was good. Yeah. I remember it, thank God. Listen. If you do anything, you got to get the drink package, because after the months I had just gone through, I was drinking.
Oh yeah.
But got the drink package. Never hit my 15 drink limit.
Wow. So is it 15 drinks for that whole stay?
For the day. You get 15 drinks for the day.
15 drinks a day?
Yeah, you got a 15 drink limit. It's got to be $20 or under. However, everything pretty much theirs, unless you like a rich bitch.
Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah, so it wasn't very. I mean, it was very difficult to hit that limit. You weren't going to, but especially I went to Senior Frogs on the first day, so I was out like a light for 4 hours.
Yeah, because I know you did tell me you always wanted to go to Senior Frogs.
Yeah, it was crazy. It wasn't, I only lost a couple hours. I'm not a big drinker anyway.
Oh, she lost a couple hours.
No, I only lasted a couple
hours.
Oh,
okay. I was about to say, whoa,
no,
what happened?
I was like, man, off rip. She said, give me the largest.
Like, why am I missing a tooth?
No, so we started that morning. We went to breakfast, had a drink together. I was like, all right, there's one.
Mimosas?
I had a Dirty Shirley, vodka Shirley. He had a mimosa. I'm not much of a champagne person.
Yeah, it tastes like shit.
Yeah,
it tastes like garbage.
And then
that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, made it to Senior Frogs about an hour later.
Okay.
Ended up being about 4 shots deep, 4 or 6 shots deep. 3 drinks in, went in for that like conga line.
Yeah.
Hit that 3rd shot, and it tastes like straight gasoline. And that's when you know you're in trouble.
Doesn't taste good anymore, guys.
You're like, I'm not having fun. Turned to Ryan. I was like, hey, I'm gonna throw up. He goes, all right, let's go to the bathroom. I'm like, we ain't gonna make it. I just clasped those hands together. I was like, let's catch it. Listen, if there's one thing I learned about being in like retail and customer service for my entire 10 years, you don't make other people's day inconvenient. Caught it, went in to the bathroom, got rid of it, cleaned up everything. I even went back to the spot, make sure I didn't leave anything.
Any residue or nothing?
Nothing. Spent a couple hours on the island, went back and slept for 4 hours.
Damn.
Just knocked out for 4 hours, but I remember it. That's all.
Okay.
So when you go on the cruise, and they let you on the island.
Yeah.
Is there a resort that you sleep in on the island, or do you go back to the ship?
You go back to the ship.
Okay.
I mean, you can do, I guess, apparently. I mean, I'm not this fancy. I don't get vacations. I'm poor. But,
please, sir, let me go.
Can I have a raise?
Can I have a raise? Inflation.
But apparently some people will. Like, there's, like, what is it, Atlantis or something? They'll go stay on Atlantis for like three days or something, and then take another cruise ship back, I guess.
Oh,
damn, they got money.
Yeah,
man.
I don't got money.
They got connect ships.
I accept my 5-day cruise and call it a day.
Nah, but that's pretty solid.
Yeah,
5 whole days, man.
Yeah, well, Paris would have been better, but
How long did you plan on staying in Paris?
A week, yeah. We were gonna go for a week. I had the game picked out, everything. I had all the way down to the trains that we were gonna take.
That hurt me.
That hurts, man.
But you know what? You gotta kind of like learn from it.
Right.
Just, take that hit and keep growing from it.
Keep going. That's facts.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it was really tough for me to like get over that emotionally and like not be angry. I've told Jeff a few times, like, I'm inherently a very impatient, angry person. So I'm trying to find opportunities, not to make myself sound like a saint or anything, but I try to find opportunities where, like, I can learn and grow. I guess be an adult.
Right.
And listen, it's tough. It's tough.
It is.
That shit is tough.
Because a lot of people have to go through a lot of struggles to be able to say, I'm okay, I'm good. Like, perfect example is Pastor Scurry that we had on Tuesday. He's like, yeah, I just let it go. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, well he told me that. Yo, the heat that built up in my chest when he told me he lost 14 years off of
his life.
Off of his life for what was it?
Something that he
wrongfully, yes, a crime he did not commit. Yeah. And it was just like, yeah, well,
couldn't be me.
Free to go. What? That's what I'm saying. I'm going back to jail.
I guess.
Keep me in these cuffs. The moment you let me go, I'm killing you.
Listen, you've got a pastor who's like, yeah, if I just let it go. Then you got me that's like, I'm gonna try so
I'm not
hard.
there yet. Let me get more gray hairs, then we can talk.
Not yet. No.
That couldn't be me. I listen.
I mean, but then again, he is 60 something years old.
Yeah, he's up there.
I mean, I would hope. I mean, I'm only
by
24. Then? I would hope at some point in time I let go of all like that trauma.
Sometimes, like, who is it? Remember Barb?
Yes.
Barb never lets it go. And Barb is
but she's from 80. New York. She's from New York.
Barb's from New York, but like Barb's like almost 80 years old. Never lets anything fucking go.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like, you go through so much shit, basically, like growing up, or specifically for me growing up, and it kind of got to a point, and this is, a few years ago, I was like, oh, I'm like a bad person. That's what I genuinely felt, and to a certain extent, I still feel that way. I was like, man, I'm a bad person.
What made you?
From what I've seen in the last, year and a half or 2 years I've known you, I don't see that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, while I was in college and stuff, you have a good time, right?
He's known you for 45 minutes, and he knows that he can sense that you're not a bad person.
Well, that's the thing too. I think there's like when somebody goes, "Oh, I'm a bad person," the quick thing to do is like, no.
Like,
I mean,
console them.
Unless you like Trump. Not to get political here, but like,
it's okay. You can if you want.
All right. Well, that's like a person. That's a specific person that a group of people, a large group of people, would be like, no, that's a bad person.
Yeah.
50%.
My thing is, like, in college, I wouldn't necessarily say, like, I was going around cheating or anything like that. But I was hot-headed. I held a lot of the things that happened to me real close to my chest and expected other people to be wronging me. I expected somebody to be trying to do wrong on me. And it's very, like, unhealthy, very tiring way to live. And I don't know at what point, but there was just a point, towards the end of my college career where I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm a good person. I don't like focusing on this. So I was like, I really got to kind of figure it out. And I think part of it too is getting together with Ryan. I grew up with Ryan. Yeah, we played soccer together growing up, and we split, went our separate ways, came back in college and started kind of dating on and off.
Rekindled that, right?
Yeah. And that was the thing is, like, I'm not saying he's got, like, a perfect life or he had a perfect home life, but seeing somebody with a different life from me and seeing how I handle things based off of what I grew up with, I was like, I need to get it in check. I need to better myself for the person I'm with, and specifically for me. Worked on it for a few years, and thankfully, some people feel that, I'm at least a decent person from the start, but...
well, because, like, you walked in, I just got good energy, like, I could just talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, oh man.
Hi, I'm Jeff too. That was it.
That was it. You know, it was pretty. But like, what it sounds like to me is like you never committed any like hurtful things against other people.
I mean, I'm sure at some point in your life you always do, right?
Right.
The simplest part is like growing up as a kid, you lie. That's just a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's times, like, especially going into my high school career, that, like, I lied. Very early on, the first change I made going into colleges, I was like, listen, it's tiring lying. You know, like...
Energy.
Just, you know, it'll keep you in check. Yeah, it'll keep you in check not to lie because you're going to do the right thing. Or you're at least just going to be straightforward about it, and if something bad happens, you just take it on the chin.
You just take it on the chin, facts.
But that was like kind of the first change where I was like, oh shit, like I don't have to be like continuing a cycle.
A cycle,
you know?
bullshit.
That's what they say. It's like, you know, you grow up and you continue your family cycle. That's where I was like, oh, okay, so like I'm gonna be the one to break it. All right, cool. So that's kind of like, you know, what I'm talking about. You don't have to necessarily be like, you know, serial cheater or like
right, like do the most evil shit. Right.
And it just, life is not so black and white, I guess, and that's something I definitely learned and trying to.
Because like from my frame of reference, I feel like when you say I'm a bad person, like for me, lying's not gonna hurt me unless it really hurts me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like calling me a name or whatever, calling me out of my name, it's not gonna hurt me because I know who I am, you know, at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, there's always that leeway, that leniency I give others, you know, where it's like, as long as you're not hurting me or hurting other people.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's physically or emotionally or mentally.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't consider you a bad person. You know, to me, because like I just met you today.
Yeah, and I've known you for 2 years.
Right.
So.
You know, because I just met you today. So like I always afford everyone that you know, extra room, like, because I know what I've done in my life. I know who I like, because I've done some very bad things, and it's like.
He just hasn't got caught yet.
Stop playing.
It's not bad if you haven't got caught.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Stop playing.
Oh, man.
But, like...
People are going to think murder.
They're going to be like, this guy deserves 14 years.
Right?
Oh.
That's why he was so uncomfortable last week. He's like...
I'm like, man. He's like, damn. They going to catch my ass.
Yeah, but no, like, that's the thing is, like, you know, everybody's concept is, have you hurt others? Have you hurt yourself? Then you're not a bad person. But that's the thing is, like, what I felt like I was doing was hurting myself. Or, you know, like, allowing myself to just kind of, I mean, in college, you have the ability to kind of, like, not necessarily sleep around, but, like, talk to different people. To different people at a time. I was very open about it. But, like, for me, I was like, you know what? This is not right for me. It's just kind of toxic. I was like, I need to, like, figure it out. I need to just kind of turn my own way. And I felt myself just being very... like if I was with somebody, just being very jealous or being very scared and angry all the time. And like you afford me the ability to be like, okay, you're a nice person until you prove you're not.
Right. Exactly.
For me, at least in college and in high school, was very much so like everybody's going to hurt me. Everybody's out to get me. And unfortunately, growing up, or at least like my first couple years of childhood going into high school, that was the case.
Right.
Most people were probably.
So you automatically put it in your mind that they're going to hurt you before they hurt you.
If you think about it, high school, it's fucking evil.
Yeah, it is.
The crazy thing was, and like, well, not to like just go back into it. You guys are going to have me on probably a couple times the way I talk. But
oh, yeah, definitely.
As long as it goes well. If it bombs, you'd be like, hey, man.
Nah,
yeah, we're going to have to cut you.
Because we got a lot of people coming back for the third time. So
but, no, I mean, that's the crazy thing is, like, at least in high school, I was okay, you know? Kids are kids, but my class was pretty chill. It was adults. And that's the crazy thing is, like, having adults be that way, you kind of are like, so this is what it's like.
So this is what
life.
It's like, right.
And, you know, I could sit here and be like, that's why I did these things, or that's why I felt the way I did. In reality, yeah, probably, but you don't think of it at the time. You just kind of do what you're doing.
You just do, yeah.
And that's the thing is, it was a lot of self-reflecting. I don't know when, why, how I started doing it.
2020?
Not even.
No?
Earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely earlier. I mean, if I was like, let's put a time to it. I mean, like, I had a best friend die, unfortunately, and that was, like, pretty huge. Obviously, we didn't expect it to happen. and I think it was just a lot of like me reflecting on where he got me and how he inspired me. Like I was in band, like marching band, but I was in marching band.
So does my brother.
That's what I'm talking about.
He still has his drum set.
That's what I'm talking about. Are you like a ska person?
Who?
Are you like a ska person?
What is that?
You know,
ska?
like the band, like what is it called? The I can't think of it. It's like the type of music. You ever heard ska? Oh, it's your beanie you're wearing, like the orange beanie. You gave off ska vibes. It's like it's kind of like it's got. I don't know how to explain it. Now I'm putting myself on blast.
No. Yeah, I want to hear this.
People that like listen to ska are gonna be like, she don't even know what it is. It's kind of like it definitely has like a lot of trombones and brass. Hang on, I'm looking it up.
Let's see if you
ska
got
music.
Probably ain't got any Wi-Fi. Hold on.
But yeah, I was in like marching band and stuff. So he's the one that got me into it. My friend that passed, and I think kind of reflecting on that slowly brings you into the process of like reflecting on the rest of your life and learning more about yourself.
That's
so
facts.
that kind of thing. How the hell you share Wi-Fi?
I'll be honest. I don't even think it's gonna make a difference.
No, because she wants to look up the music, but she doesn't have signal.
Oh no, the signal of the Wi-Fi. That's what I meant. That's what I meant, because there's Wi-Fi.
Well, if she has Spotify or anything like that, she can just go straight on there and just look for a specific ska music.
Dookie. Yeah, I want to.
But yeah, he played the drums.
That's pretty dope.
It's percussion.
Sorry. I apologize.
Would you like accept it? As soon as anybody says it,
you're like, play the drums. Yeah. You know
yeah.
I'm making it seem basic.
Yeah, but
But yeah, no. Obviously, I did brass, so everybody's like, "So you played the tuba?" Or
right?
Or like you played the trumpet, and you're like, "Yeah, somewhere in between."
Something like that, yeah.
Like in there somewhere. But all right. So it says ska's music genre originated in Jamaica in the late 1950s, precursor to rocksteady and reggae. It combines elements of Caribbean mento and calypso with American jazz and rhythm and blues. It's characterized by a walking bass accented with rhythms on the offbeat. Not for everybody. I think there's some great parts in there.
I'm a music head. So
yeah,
pull your phone.
I'm a music head.
It pulls it makes it static.
Oh, that's static. That's probably me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's probably me. But yeah, like I'm a music head. So if you have any after this, you want to recommend me?
Probably not, but you could just listen. I literally I'm the type that listens to music where like you just kind of pick something. You're like,
go
all
with
right,
the vibe.
Oh yeah.
Listen to the whole playlist, find what you like, and go from there.
And that's what it is. Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. Yeah. So like, do you still continue with like music or anything? Like, when's the last time you picked up an instrument?
Oh my god, I guess 2018. Yeah, I did. So went through high school, did high school band. Went through college, did college. I did. Do you know what DCI is? Yeah, so I did DCI indoor.
Can you guys explain that to me?
Yeah.
I'm a noob.
It's like a NFL for bands.
Yeah. It's like competitive, like.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I remember I used to go to some of your
the events.
Yeah, it's just like the best of the best. Not to say that I'm the best of the best.
No, it's the best of the best.
It's the best of the best. I'll say toot your horn. That's the best of the best.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
that's up there.
That's awesome.
I did 2 years of DCI, and then I did 3 years of indoor. Indoor, I did indoor percussion, but I was just a dancer. I just did visuals and stuff like that. So last time I picked one up was 2018. Wow. Yeah. So
you still think you got it?
No.
At least you're honest.
All throughout, my entire, I guess, career with music, I was always visually, I guess, adept or inept. Could not. I wasn't.
You weren't reading.
No, I can read music. I guess if you're gonna say like compared to like a normal human being, like I guess you'd say I'm pretty good, but I mean in the music world I'm shit. I'm bad musically. But my biggest thing, and I guess it kind of shows in like when I'm at work, is I've kind of followed the mentality of like nobody will outwork me. I will be the hardest worker in and out. And I think that's why I got as far as I did. Is I wasn't a good musician, I guess, but I was always a good worker, and I could visually learn very quickly. I had rhythm. I could learn a visual, and I would figure it out. I try to be creative in that sense. So I think that's what kind of did it, and I mean, it's paid off in work. You know?
For sure.
Being known as like a hard worker is important.
Tell them.
Tell them.
Tell them.
Let them know.
What? Shout out Matt.
Matt, money shot.
Shout out money shot Matt.
Congrats
Manager
on
at work.
I told him. What did you say? Stripper names?
We all got stripper names.
Bro, money shot Matt. That's a step above stripper name.
That's because Matt believes in OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Feet pics on OnlyFans.
I told him I'd give him a sub, but I ain't watching content.
No, it's not
like
sub.
I ain't giving him no.
Do you like creamy peanut butter or crunchy?
It's gonna be this man dipping his feet in crunchy peanut butter.
All he has to do is put on nail polish, and they'll think it's a female's foot.
Bruh, you know that's how they be finessing people.
Yeah. Listen, have you heard about these women and how much money they make?
Oh, it's nuts.
Listen, they make insane.
It's nuts.
Look, I was like, man, if I could, I would. Definitely don't think. The thing is like.
But that's the thing. Like, you don't even have to go extreme.
But that's the thing. I don't know how they do it, right? Because like, there's no way in hell that many people are like, just I'm just gonna upload my feet. I'm gonna make $300-400. There's no. I can't believe there's that many feet hungry men. I guess.
It's a lot.
And women, but I can't imagine.
More men.
I think in any fetish community, it's
like there's a fetish.
But men are the majority. Anything. Let's be honest.
It was like what was it? I was on Twitter and there was something trending, and sometimes Twitter doesn't filter their trends, so I clicked on it and there was just a whole bunch of like fucking X-rated shit. And there was one where, because I'm also on art Twitter because I make art and stuff like that.
Oh, so you definitely seen X-ray.
So I've seen like crazy shit, yo. I the other day I found out what vor was, and I was just like,
no idea.
What?
I have no idea.
Thank God I don't know what that is.
I don't know what it is either.
I was like, I'm not gonna describe it, but if anyone else wants to Google vor, clear your browser history after. But yeah, like that's what confuses me with that stuff, because it's like where you see where it's like, oh, I'm a top 0.1% creator. Mm-hmm. Well, that's like with everyone. Mm-hmm. Like everyone's a top 0.1%.
Yeah, no idea.
Like I don't know how that works, but one thing that I've seen really kind of happen is the whole scamming out of that, where like some individual or like a scam group, some shadow fucking.
Shadow government.
Some shadow org,
Shadow organization. Yeah.
Listen, there's lizard people. I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I don't actually believe in lizard people.
Are you sure? They could be real.
Listen, I don't believe in lizard people. Illuminati, absolutely. I don't know if Beyonce. Well, I guess Beyonce. If there was Illuminati,
LeBron James,
Beyonce's definitely in it. But I also
disguised as lizard people.
No.
Okay. All right.
They tried to say Justin Bieber was a lizard person. I was like, JB, no.
3 people you cannot deny are lizard people.
Okay.
Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos,
Elon Musk.
and Elon Musk. Come on, man.
They just seem like
you just look at their face and they're processing human emotions.
Listen, my thing is like with those 3, that like they've got kids, right?
Yeah.
So like they at least have like done the act to have those kids.
Yeah.
But somehow
artificial insemination.
You look at them and you're like, there's no way.
Test tube babies.
You're like, there's no way in hell.
Yeah.
But come on,
anybody got
let's
one
be
of
for
them.
real.
Nah, they invented the machine to have the kids.
Let's be for. If it was like a billionaire.
No, not them. It's not enough. Nope.
It's not enough. You gotta be part of the 0.0001%.
That's not
the ones that are going to Mars.
They are those people.
Yeah.
It's not enough. I wouldn't have a child with them. I wouldn't even. No, I couldn't be in the same room.
That's like generational security right there.
Yeah. Oh well.
You could do art IV.
Oh well. No.
What if it was a test tube? What if you just grew that motherfucker?
Listen, you gotta have morals, man. You gotta have morals.
He's trying to convince you.
Why don't you clone him? What you mean?
No, man. Listen, I couldn't allow myself.
Did you see? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just feel like they're gonna be like, oh, somebody said something bad about me on this podcast. I'm gonna go after them, sue them. But listen, in all honesty, yeah, you could say like, oh, it's a lot of money. You wouldn't have to do much.
Yeah.
But I just think, in my own sense, that they're like pretty terrible people.
Right.
Absolutely. Of course.
And if I went down as a poor person, that my family's gonna be just as poor as we are now. Oh well, fine. But like to secure the bag and then be known as like one of the Bezos wives or like one of the
here's the
Musk's
thing.
girlfriends, I was like, nah, I'm good.
You only know the main ones. You don't know the side owners.
I don't want to.
Because they probably pay him off.
They're getting paid.
They ain't paying them enough.
They're getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, what was it? Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. One of his coworkers had a kid with her.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
There's like one main rule, and he was like, "Nah, it doesn't apply to me."
That don't apply to me. What you mean? I can just buy this company out.
You try to sue me? I'll buy the company.
I'll buy you. I'll buy your family.
It's an insane, like,
it's crazy.
Mental, like, they are just on a complete. They're living a complete.
It's a different
life.
life. Why do you think they want to go to space? They already own 90% of the shit on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's go to space.
Man, what are they doing with this?
Let's own Mars.
I'll tell you what, though, Bezos has a chokehold on everybody. Tesla's like here and there, you know. Everybody's like, "Oh, I want a Tesla," but like that's about it, right? Zuckerberg is trying to do like, Elon's trying to do like Tesla, and they're like, "Oh, Zuckerberg's like Meta," and everybody's like, "That looks terrible." But
I'm gonna keep pushing it because Facebook is dying.
You want me to do all real life shit, but digitally, and I can enjoy it.
And it's straight up like what you expect from Apocalypse. You're like, I've seen 3 movies.
Yeah, absolutely,
100%.
We're headed towards Ready Player One.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Bezos is like, I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna look like that terrible little, like, you know, villain.
Fucking.
Meanwhile, everybody's like, "Ooh, Christmas coming up."
Lex Luthor.
I got
with his dick rocket.
Oh man. Yeah, but like, for me, I think Elon's winning the game.
Oh, he is.
Only reason why I think so is because one, he has his whole global internet with Starlink. He has Tesla. He has SpaceX.
He's building the town in Texas.
PayPal. He has.
Well, he's building the autonomous town in Texas.
Oh yeah, that future city. So it's like a space-based Texas or some shit.
Space
it's so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody drives themselves.
How do you feel about that? Where do you expect us to be in like 5 years? Are you ready for any of this bullshit they keep advertising us, man?
Listen, not respectfully. I don't give a shit about advancements. I don't.
What
did he say? What did he say? Yeah, it's so controversial, but I think we should focus on the fact that, like, our planet's dying.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, like, it's insane how quickly it's happened. I mean, growing up, you kind of heard about it. Mm-hmm. Like, as a kid, you kind of hear about it. Your parents kind of talk about it. Yeah. But it didn't seem like, at least when I was a kid, like, everybody was like, "Oh, we gonna die."
And it always, like, even when you saw it in movies, it always just seemed like some dramatic, they're overblowing it type bull.
Yeah. And now look at us. Europe had their hottest day of the year. There's rivers drying up.
Yangtze River.
We haven't had a hurricane. It's been a hurricane season.
Mudslides
everywhere. Yeah. And it's one of those things where you're like, oh my God, like, I don't know if my grandkids are going to make it. And of course, like, you know, people are like, oh no, it's farther and farther away. But man, like, just listen to your scientists. I mean, I can't believe it's like a controversial thing nowadays. But
that's still
just
weird.
Listen to your scientists. And the fact that, like, all the way back in the 60s, 70s, they were like, hey,
they've been talking about this.
We're gonna die. And our freaking government was like, we can wait. We can wait.
Now it's too late.
Listen, when they say they pulled up the ladder on us, they really did. Yeah. And, you know, it's just one of those things, like, I don't really care about our advancements. I don't care about Meta. I don't care about living in an alternate universe. I don't care about living on Mars.
I care about now.
I care about right now. And because if I care about right now, you know, it might seem selfish.
Well, it's not, because you gotta look at it.
But that's the thing, is, like, you know, it sounds to be like I care about right now is the same thing as what they were doing 60 years ago, but it's in a different way, where it's like, I want my grandkids to be able to live on Earth. I want animals to be able to survive, not go extinct.
Right. And I feel like their whole fallback on that is science will figure it out.
Well,
we'll fly.
We'll fly somewhere.
Well, again, too, it's not even us that's going to be leaving this planet when it does happen. It's going to be the rich.
That's in the next century.
Yeah, well, I get that, but I'm just saying that
when it is,
it's going to be the ultra rich.
Elon.
Yeah.
Beyonce might be able to get on there because it's Beyonce, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's fact. Come on, bro. Martian Beyonce, get the fuck out of here.
I want to hear that. Yeah. Listen,
her doing the on Mars.
Listen, I think she's onto something. She just released that new album. I'm like, that sounds like Mars Beyonce.
Yeah, it does. What is it called again?
I don't know, but she got that Alien Superstar song. I was like, ooh.
I heard they were giving her shit about it, cause
because she used spasm.
How do you feel about that? Cause I've always used that word. I never attributed it to
person,
like a slur or something like that, or
now
derogatory.
Now they're trying to make it
like.
So I guess my thing is like I don't have like so like it's the same thing as like I can't say like the N-word is a slur. It definitely is.
Right.
But that has to come from black people deciding I don't want that word being used associated. In the same way, like I'm not somebody that has mental, like I guess a mental deficit or just a specialty, and they're not neurotypical, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't say like, oh yeah, that's not a slur. If they think it is, then it is. I think it's definitely a case by case basis for different people.
But is it them that brought up that case, or is it because somebody had a touchy feeling about it?
And that's the thing. I'm not 100% sure. I just know that like the right way to go about it, and it doesn't really hurt anybody, is kind of how Yonsei went about it. Just being like, hey, I didn't know. Sorry. I changed it.
Take it away.
And then everybody's like, cool. I'm Gooch.
Yeah.
Gucci.
Gooch.
Sorry, it sounded like a
I'm Tank. Don't worry.
straight Tank.
Straight Tank.
Oh my
God.
God.
That's the thing. Is like like I'm not somebody that's comfortable like using the R word. That's obviously in its inception is meant to like be derogatory towards another person. I'm not using the R word. If somebody else says it, I might be like, hey man, maybe
chill.
Maybe use another word.
Right.
But because I mean, there's so many words nowadays, and like when somebody goes like, "Oh my God, another thing that we can't say," and I'm like, "Yeah, you just use another word." Unless that's just not
right.
Language evolves.
Yeah. I'm like, if your education is not there for it, make up a new word. But
make
like,
a new word. That's facts.
It's all
English
about
language always changing, bro.
Yeah, it evolves.
We're speaking in memes now. You look at a meme and you already know what the hell.
I mean, listen up.
Yeah.
Everybody's
30
like,
years from now, we just saying a whole bunch of catchphrases.
These 7-year-olds are like, I don't know what the fuck.
Bro, that'd be dumb, man.
I heard that people were like, oh, it's basically like going back to the hieroglyphics. I was like, you absolutely right.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Because, like, we spoke in pictures, like, back in the, like, even till today, right? Like, because we always attribute, like, Mandarin as another form of, like, language. But if you break it down, Mandarin is just independent symbols combined together to make a bigger symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just understand what it means. You know what I'm saying? So
if you're trying to get meta, that's the alphabet.
Yeah.
That's the alphabet.
Yeah, basically,
yeah. We went, oh, that's a ah.
yeah. That's fact. But like speaking in pictures, that's awesome.
Listen,
that's fucking awesome.
Jesus. I think that was an earthquake. Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
In Florida?
Well, it's like today at work when I found out that they changed the Redskins football team because
to Washington
State. Yeah, and it was even the Redskins said that we didn't ask for it. They said they don't care if they use that name, but apparently it was voted on and they changed the name. I'm like, are you serious? They're like, yeah, this was 2 years ago. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, it was wild. Listen, if you're the team with that name and you're like, hey, we feel uncomfortable with this, even if like the people are like, yeah, we chill with it. If you're like, hey, I'm uncomfortable with it, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
You own the
you
franchise.
Own the team,
Go
right?
ahead.
That's fact.
I don't know if Washington State football team
It's whack.
You had
so whack.
Any name you could
any and every name, yeah.
They got big ass W on the side of their
They even
helmet,
said that the colors are trash too.
It's not the same colors?
No, they changed the colors too.
Well, because it was red and yellow. I was like,
yellow.
Yeah, that is like, I guess historically.
That's racist.
But yeah, I mean, I don't mind having to tiptoe, I guess. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like, oh, okay, I tiptoe, whatever. I'm in a privileged state where being a white-passing white person,
but
don't
like,
you say nothing. You're going to get me canceled. Don't you say
But like, at what point do we get to where it's like...
Too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what ends up happening, what I've seen throughout human history, is when there's an issue, we don't fix it, we overcorrect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the thing, too, is I can't give you specific examples, I guess, so it's not really going to help. But I think there's times where there's a general consensus where everybody goes like, yeah, that's too much.
Yeah.
You know what? I have one. I was on TikTok. Shout out TikTok. If you're looking for an addiction, TikTok.
Oh, man. They got it to us.
The algorithm.
You guys know Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Charlie's Angel. Drew Barrymore had like a really rough upbringing. She was like, an alcoholic at 13. I mean, she had it rough.
Because she started early. E.T.
She was a child star. So a lot of like what she's doing nowadays is kind of being free, being her own person. And she has a TikTok she posted where she was crying in the rain.
Oh my god!
So excited, and it's cheesy if you haven't gone through that.
You saw it, right? And then that black woman comes on and talks about
that's what I'm talking about.
Oppression of black people.
I was like,
wait. Bruh.
Motherfuckers can't sing in the rain.
Yeah. But see, that's what I'm talking about.
Because you're taking away from all the black
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
That's wild.
You're taking away from all the black content creators. What does that have to do with anything?
That's crazy.
That was a wild tangent.
That was wild.
Apparently she had a video where she was like talking about the rain or whatever. Whatever.
What the fuck?
But that's what I'm talking about. It's that overcorrection where like that's a lot. And even though it's coming from a person in that community, you have the majority of the community that's like, hey man, chill out. Like, way too
much. You're going overboard.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what happens is in a way, I mean, I guess it might just be trying to be hopeful, but I would hope that we like learn to correct ourselves from overcorrection, you know? You can, at the end of the day, it's that question of, are we inherently good or are we inherently evil?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can try to tell me Drew Barrymore is an inherently evil person and she was trying to be like racist by enjoying
enjoying that's a
stretch. That's a stretch.
That's a leap, yo.
That is a huge
My
leap.
goodness.
And I'm okay if we sit there and
I lost brain cells watching that video.
Aren't a leap, right? Oh, do we use this word? Do we not use this word? Who's allowed to?
Yeah.
That's fine, you know? We can nitpick that. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. We have however many years left to evolve and learn. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
If you're somebody that doesn't want to be involved in that conversation, you just wait until they figure it out, and then you either use it or you don't, then you deal with the consequences either way.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
At the end of the day, although we hate racists, they're going to use what they want to use, and they got the consequences.
Right.
Yeah.
You get punched in the face, you don't.
You don't.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just shit.
You just got, like you said, accept the consequences that come with whatever you do. With a cause, there's always an effect. So I mean, it is what it is. But.
That's the thing.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yes, ma'am.
So I see you're wearing your EMS shirt.
Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on with that?
Yeah. So I moved to Fort Myers 2 years ago, 2020.
I'm sorry.
#COVID.
From Pensacola.
Did you say Did you just say Pensacola?
Where'd you? Oh, wait.
No, so I grew up in Port Charlotte.
Oh, Port.
Why
did I say Pensacola?
No, just to triangulate myself a little bit more.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I grew up in Port Charlotte, but I went to school in Tampa. I went to USF. Yeah.
Okay,
go
go Bulls.
Yeah.
Is it this?
Yeah.
Yep,
This
it
is
is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Go Bulls. Although at heart, I'm probably a Knights fan. I love UCF.
Okay, UCF.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Orlando, but yeah, I went to Tampa for school and then came back down to Fort Myers so that my boyfriend could go to school. But when I got down here, so I was originally going to go in the FBI. That was my whole plan going into college. I got my degree in psychology. I'm one class away from my criminology degree.
Oh, word.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
That's what I'm talking about, Boss Beach, baby.
Boss shit, yeah.
But, Black Lives Matter started to happen right around the time that I was graduating, and whatever anybody's opinion is on it, I personally felt like I didn't feel comfortable going into government.
Law enforcement,
government. Not just for my own safety, because who cares about that? Right. But what was happening. I didn't want to be associated with an entity that obviously was taking lives, whether unjustly or justly. Right. In that sense, you're not supposed to be taking a life if you're law enforcement unless it's
necessary.
Unless absolutely necessary. And now that the line is being blurred from what's necessary and what's not, this is just me being absolutely correct, so nobody's attacking y'all. But
no, you're good.
Yeah,
no, you're fine.
But once that line got blurred, I was like, I don't think this is right. I think I need to maybe try something different. Right. So I took 2 years because I was not going to go get my master's in psychology with no idea what I wanted to do. Yeah, shit's expensive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Can you become with the psychology, you could go into criminal justice, you can do psychiatry or something?
So, psychiatry, you have to get a specific degree. So I had a Bachelor of Arts.
Okay.
I can be a psychologist. To be a psychiatrist, you could maybe get in, but you do have to go to medical school, so it's better to have a Bachelor of Science.
Okay.
But it's up, I obviously didn't go to graduate school, so I'm not 100% certain. But I think you could probably get in.
Yeah,
for sure.
But didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was like, you know what? Let me take some time, figure it out, because I don't want to spend all this money and now I'm stuck. Because the one thing that I'm proud to say is that I got scholarships and I had Florida prepaid, so I didn't pay for college. I got a refund and paid off my car.
There you go. That's what's up.
But was working at Publix, figuring it out, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to go into EMS. Nice. I am lucky enough to have 2 people in my life that I grew up with that were firefighters and paramedics. So I was like, that's kind of, I wanted to help people. Right. That was the whole point when I wanted to go into, when I wanted to be a FBI agent. I either wanted to go into child sex crimes or I wanted to go into behavioral analysis, which is technically not like a unit, but you can be one. I wanted to help people. That was the whole thing. I wanted to be the person that I needed growing up. And EMS, I was like, okay, well, that could be it. I could be a paramedic. I could be what my uncle and my dad were.
That's awesome.
So I followed school. I did a lot of research because at the end of the day, you're not ever prepared for like the trauma that first responders see. No, you're never prepared. Yeah. But I can at least try to prepare as best as possible.
Just go to like Live Leak, look up all the fucking gore and shit.
Oh my god.
No, because that's what happened to my boy Hunt. He went for EMS and he was doing a ride along and they pulled up on a really like a fatal car accident and he just saw mangled mess on the ground and he's like, whoa,
this is not for me.
This ain't for me.
Yeah.
And that's fully possible. Yeah. I mean, the good thing, quote unquote good thing, is that if I don't want to do, like, let's say I get into EMS and I'm like, oh man, like, I can't do this forever. I can take steps. They've got, like, a few steps where you become a paramedic and then you can become a nurse. And, like, they have, like, a little bit of
cool beans.
Walkway through that. I don't think there's a chance in hell I'll ever be a nurse. Shout out to nurses.
Wiping ass.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It's difficult wiping my own. Why would I do yours?
Oh, man. Wiping ass.
It's bad enough that like some of the customers that you like encounter want you to wipe their ass. I'm not physically gonna do it.
No, that's just wild. See, I guess that's something you want us to advance on. Have an ass wiping machine or something like that.
No, just wipe your
Call it a day.
Just
sit in a fucking.
I got no arms. What are we gonna do now?
Sit in a robot with a single arm.
No, because that just makes me think we're part of like WALL-E with all the people. And, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
yes. When they're so fat, the chair does everything for them.
No, I don't want. That's too much. Right?
Different.
Either you learn to wipe your own. I mean, I don't know why we're sitting here talking about wiping your own ass.
Hey.
There are truly some people.
Look,
we'll get back to the story.
Listen, you either wipe your own ass or you find somebody that loves you enough. Doesn't have to be a significant other. Could be a brother. Could be a cousin. Could just be a
your
nurse
dog
that you pay. Doesn't matter.
Your dog.
Your dog ain't gonna wipe your ass.
Bruh, he ain't got thumbs, and he damn sure ain't licking your ass.
No.
Listen, you want a dog to lick your ass? Is that what you're saying?
Yo!
That's what it sounds like to me.
We get into that. Oh, man.
Jeff, you want to talk about it?
No.
I gotta make a call.
Yeah,
I think it's them Twitter posts, bro.
Yeah.
They got to me.
Oh,
she's gonna be like, babe, I got
it unlocked something in my head.
No, I'm gonna start calling like freaking the pound and be like, hey,
you got any dogs that lick ass?
Bruce is looking at me like,
he's like, I want out.
Yep. Yo, that's wild, man.
Yeah, you gotta find somebody that loves you enough to be willing to do it. Which is how, listen, it's one of the criteria is knowing if you're ready to get married. If you're willing to wipe that person's ass. Yeah.
That's facts.
Still not sure if I'm there with Ryan. I'm joking.
Front to back or back to front?
If I had to.
Oh, man. That's
go ahead. Tell us about the EMS.
Oh, nothing much. I decided I wanted to do it. Got into school last year.
Okay.
Fully got in. Had to do like this whole process, but got in. And then got hired at the airport. And it was kind of a question because you can't really go to school and do the airport. They have like a 6-month probation period where you can't be late, can't call out, can't trade shifts. You just got to be there. Grunt work.
Right.
So I held off, gave it a year. Not to sit here and toot my own horn, but I am damn good at that job.
That's fine.
Don't love it.
You want to give your 2 weeks notice on air right now?
I already did.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
You know why?
Look forward to the 17th.
You want me to tell them why? She got full time.
full time?
I'm full time at Publix.
She's full time.
Yeah, so.
She's in the Zesper now.
Finally, you got that insurance now.
Well, thankfully, I pay my own insurance.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that, what is it, on the market insurance? Okay, yeah. I did the same.
So I got a quick question for you because I knew a stock clerk named Nick that was in firefighting and EMT.
You mean freaking
tall kid. Yeah. So is it a requirement to do both in order? No, because
to be like a fireman or an EMT.
Because I think he was going for fireman, but he was telling me that he has to take EMT in order to become a fireman.
It might be that way for firemen, just because like if you're a fireman, you're going to be one of the first on scene. A lot of times, whatever you're doing, you need to have that. I think it depends on the school. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like my dad was not an EMT. He was a fireman. Okay. But my uncle was a fireman paramedic. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I know at least for EMT school, you can just be an EMT.
And you're just doing the EMT.
Yeah.
You don't
so like, once I go through, I'm almost through the process again. But once I go through that process, I just go to school to be an EMT. It's about 6 months.
Oh, that's not.
Plan is to like get hired outside of school.
Right.
Work and then also go back for my paramedics license, which is I think about a year.
Okay.
So that's the plan.
Nice. Yeah. That's fire.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I got a plan.
Hey, that's good for your age because a lot of people don't know what they want to do at your age or below. So
that's true.
Oh, that's really good.
And I know Publix provides tuition reimbursement as well. Yeah. So if you end up having any out-of-pocket expenses.
Oh, you know I do.
So so you have tuition reimbursement.
Well, even if she didn't pay for it, even if she did pay for it, she'd still get paid.
The Biden thing.
Yeah, they take $10,000.
Well, that's the thing is, I think you had to have that established as of 2020 before COVID.
So it's like it's not like a.
Yeah, if you've had it within the last 2 years, I don't think it counts. But if you've had it before the last 2 years, they will. Although they could keep going.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I ain't got a problem with that.
But so I mean, I'm gonna look into it obviously because college is not cheap. For for the 6 months, it's $4,000. Because I was already going through the process, I think it's a little cheaper for me. I think I'm at like 3, but it's still expensive.
Right.
I'm gonna look into it, but a lot of places is like, how does it help us? I could tell Publix like, hey, you'll have a EMT on staff for like a day a week.
True. I mean, certified. You can use the AED.
Yeah, with the amount of people that I could use an AED now because you have to be CPR certified when you go into school. You already have to have it.
Okay.
But I mean, with the amount of like elderly, shout out old people that live in Florida at any point in time, But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going back into EMS. I'm going back to school, I guess. I am very excited about it.
That's
obviously I'm trying to like keep myself in check, understand that there's no way I'm prepared, but
get your shit in order.
Yeah,
and all that.
But I am excited. I'm very excited. Talked to my dad the other day about it because he's been a part of that. Unfortunately, my uncle passed.
My condolences.
Oh man, it was like a couple years ago, but
was it doing the job? Or?
No, his wife killed him.
What did he say?
That was deep.
Welcome to Tabletop Topics, the crime drama.
Welcome. That was unexpected.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that something you can?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody always asks.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody asks.
Holy shit, biscuits.
Oh wow. Oh, that's different.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's deep. I know.
So how'd that?
I take a drink of my water.
How'd that happen? Yeah, take us.
Yeah. My little
gulp.
The little lean and everything. No, so my uncle Sam Dreer, shout out Sam Dreer. He was a firefighter paramedic. He was married. Basically, he found out one day that she was cheating on him. Because I guess technically, let me put it out there, disclaimer, technically she didn't kill him. But the fact that there's a technically there already tells you.
Right.
That she did.
So
it's like OJ.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in there technically because she didn't get tried for it. So, yeah. Well, we'll get into it.
Okay.
So, he's a firefighter, paramedic. Found out she was cheating on him one day. Asked for a divorce. She was cheating on him with a young kid. Had been dating somebody for like 4 years.
Damn.
Yeah, something like that. And of course, I was young at the time, so facts are here and there.
Right.
But according to the documentaries and according to family, she'd been dating somebody for like 4 years. He asked for divorce. obviously. They were going through the divorce process. He met somebody during that divorce process. He started dating somebody. So he spent a lot of time with her. I guess my aunt had this whole if I can't have him, nobody can mentality.
Damn.
So her and
the new boyfriend
started stalking them. Her boyfriend showed up and said he was like a plumber or something like that, or an electrician. Tried to get into the apartment. The girl didn't let him in. Pointed him out to my uncle at the time. My uncle didn't know who he was. He hadn't seen him yet. At some point they broke in. I can say that because they did get tried for that. They broke in, stole some stuff. So they've been in the apartment, scoping out everything like that. Found some texts where she had bought the gun. She kept telling him oh, he's abusive, and nobody's ever a part of another person's life.
Yeah.
But I can say with 100% certainty my uncle was not an abusive person. Right. He was very protective of us. They didn't have any kids, but he saw my sisters and I as kids, as his kids. So he was very protective, very, worship a woman kind of thing. But yeah, so she was kind of feeding this lie to her boyfriend at the time. He was young.
And so he's going to eat it up because he wants to.
So she was making comments we're going to get him. I can't, kill that MFer and stuff. I guess at some point, the kid had left his shoes or something at my uncle's house. It's kind of a disrespectful thing to do. Yeah. So my uncle was just like, hey, I'm not trying to fight him. I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I just want to talk to him. I want to meet this person. This is the person your wife has been cheating on you with for 4 years.
For 4 years, yeah.
He took the boots, went to his girlfriend's house. My aunt gave the guy the address, the key. Well, he already had it because they had been stalking.
Mm-hmm.
Gave him the key to the car. He went, broke into the car. My uncle came downstairs, was like, hey, man, what's going on? What's up? Because he doesn't know. Kid turned around, pulled a gun. My uncle turned to run. He shot him 7 times in the back.
Wow. Damn. 7
times in the back. Cops were called. The kid stayed. He stayed. Wow. Immediately said he was the one that did it. Got on the ground. Was arrested. He would not give her up, even though they found the texts. They knew that she bought the gun. Everything. Would not give her up. He ended up getting 30 years. He got 30 years. She got tried for I think 5 years for the breaking in.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't try her because they were like, if we do it and she gets off, it's double jeopardy. We'll never be able to get her again. But and all that started to come. We didn't even know she was cheating on him. We didn't know there was at least we, as in me and the rest of the family, didn't know there was a divorce going on. We just got a call one night hey, we need you to come to the hospital. Found out the next day that he had been shot and he died.
Wow.
Yeah. They did give him in line of duty funeral, which was insane.
That's
I've never seen so many paramedics and firefighters there, and that was really beautiful, really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But that started to come out a few weeks later. So Danielle, if you're ever listening to this, fuck you. Excuse my language, but fuck you, Danielle.
Fuck you, Danielle. Fuck you, Danielle.
Fuck you, Danielle.
Wow.
So once again, allegedly, she didn't kill him, but
so she manipulated this kid into.
Yeah, he was 20.
Yeah, pulling the trigger.
He was 20 years old. He didn't even have a traffic ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Had never done anything.
Had no prior record.
Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So she manipulated the kid into doing her dirt. Because the gun is registered in her name, but if somebody else uses it, then technically.
Yeah. And even despite that, why would this kid shoot somebody and kill him when they were already getting a divorce?
Yeah.
What would be the point?
What's the point, right?
Unless she just wanted him dead.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this bitch, excuse my language, this bitch showed up at the funeral. Yeah, she was at the funeral. She was.
Please tell me
at
I'll
the wake.
stomp her out. I'll fight back.
So when we first found out about it, she first told my aunt at the hospital that it was her boyfriend. That's when we found out that she'd been cheating on him. So throughout the week, little things, little by little. They didn't even connect there's something going on. I'm sure the police knew, but they didn't have evidence just yet. So little by little, the family was super sus. So at the funeral, nobody sat with her. There was one cousin that did because she's holding out hope.
Right.
But once the funeral was over with, it died down. She ended up dating one of his coworkers.
Jesus.
Moved him into the house.
Jesus.
Yeah. Moved him into the house. Just no.
Some people are fucking heartless.
And she worked at a hospital. she worked at a hospital. She was like the financial advisor or whatever. Right. But yeah, it was wild. So that was my first like. I was 15, so.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like.
That's crazy. Did this make like the news like?
Oh yeah. I mean, he was well known, like at least in the Charlotte area. Yeah. Right. So I'm sure it made like at least Fort Myers news and stuff.
For sure.
And I mean, there's a Dateline. I think that it's either Dateline or something like that. There's like those episodes.
Oh, they picked that up?
Yeah. I'll send you the link.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's different, man.
Yeah, but that was tough. I mean, you see, that's my dad's youngest brother.
Right.
Seeing him go through that, and like, unfortunately, after that, like throughout the years, we had a lot of death in the family, a lot of just like hardship and stuff. I was 15. By the time I was 17, my parents were divorced. Mm-hmm. It was really tough during that time. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, like I said, there was a lot going on with other adults in my life other than like my parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was just really
turbulent.
So you're just trying to navigate through all that.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is it's kind of like, you know, not to get super like deep and metaphorical, but it's kind of like you're drowning. Right. And now I kind of feel like as I'm getting older, I'm coming up. I'm breathing. I've survived it. I've made it through. And figuring out how do you handle that experience, how do you deal with those things. But that's why I'm so comfortable talking about like what happened to my uncle, is because I just know he was a wonderful person. I owe a lot to him. I owe a lot to how he helped get us through some tough times. And you know, I don't mind telling this terrible but very interesting story because it means people know about him. They know how wonderful he is. I mean, Ryan's aunt knew my uncle. They went to school together. She found out like a year ago that like that we were like we knew that they knew each other and that was my uncle. She's like, oh my god, I remember when he passed and blah 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 blah, and I was like, yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, it was wild.
Do you feel like you're in a better position now than you were back in the day when you were navigating?
In what way?
Mentally?
Yeah, like mentally, because I know you said there's other adults in your life, your parents divorcing.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, well the thing is like, at that time, I wasn't trying to like navigate. I wasn't trying to like really do anything. I knew what I was going through wasn't normal. You know, your uncle dying by murder is not normal.
That's not.
No, that's not. That's not.
But I think on top, like something that crazy happening, you think everything else is like, you're like, all right, well that's at least more normal.
More normal.
And it's not.
Right.
It's definitely not.
It kind of made you numb to more.
Very numb. Yeah, okay. I was very numb to a lot of things. Because I'm smart. Yeah, I'm gonna put that out there. I'm very smart.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I'm smart, I knew like this isn't right, or what's going on or what's happening is not right. But you just kind of suck it up. You take it. You shouldn't do that. That's not what I'm saying. But that's what I did. You just suck it up. You take it. And then you know, 18, I was 18. I started living on my own, started figuring it out on my own. Thankfully, with the help of like some family members, but started like figuring it out on my own. And that's kind of where I was like, all right, it's now time to start breaking down walls, figuring it out. And it took me, you know, a few years.
Find who you are.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I fully figured it out.
No, I don't think you're there.
Even now, like, I'm still
not there yet.
Yeah, no. But, I mean, I can at least say I like the person I am.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big hurdle that most people don't realize they need to go through. And it unfortunately takes something pretty crazy happening for you to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is
what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what's up.
That's wild.
That is wild.
Yeah.
It's my, I guess in a morbid way, like my little favorite story. Because
you
like meet somebody and you're like, oh, what's your story, man?
Right,
and then somebody goes like, oh yeah, like my uncle was killed. And you're like, what?
Whoa.
Back that up. Back that train up, put it in park. I got to hop behind.
Yo, yeah.
Well, it's like, like I say, it's like when he told us he got shot and he was pronounced dead.
Yeah, bro was dead for 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
I don't know, but they put the sheets over him.
They put the sheets over him. He was gone, and he ended up in the coroner.
Like the morgue?
The morgue?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they came, they brought his mom to identify the body, and he wakes up.
Yeah, imagine being the people in that room. Like, I get it. You died, or like you sort of died and then came back. That's traumatic. But imagine being the people in that room. You're like, oh, this is it. I'm here to like say goodbye to my son. Like, okay, here I go. And then this man shoots up and is like, what is happening, people?
It's a zombie. Then you just shoot him again.
It started. It started.
Listen, man, that's insane. But yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you, I don't know. Because, like, normally when, you know, like, personally, because same thing with me, like, when you experience, you know, death around you and stuff, do you ever think about, like, do you ever try to understand death?
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah, like,
that's the thing is, like, I would say the major thing that I'm still struggling with to this day, because I've done a lot of work, and I mean, I'm not a therapist. I've taken a psychology degree, but I'm not a therapist, and I'm very aware of that. But I've done what I can to understand myself, and I do plan on one day hopefully seeing a very good therapist and figuring it out, especially because of how much I can talk. Definitely, you know, breaking that stuff down. But the one thing that I think I struggle with the most is like having that concept of death, because you do in a certain sense. You get like there's an end, and it could be great or it could be horrible. And it's just a matter of like, to this day I still struggle, because like you'll have like a normal day, go to the gym, hang out, get a good pump, and like in the middle of your set you'll be like, I'm gonna die one day and it could be soon, and you're like,
damn.
Yeah, them intrusive thoughts, bro.
And you know, this might be shitty on my part, I'm not thinking like, oh, what haven't I done? I'm thinking, is it going to be painful? What happens? Because I mean, like, I grew up Catholic, not shout-outing the
not the church.
No, not them.
Not the Vatican.
But like, I will confidently say I've left that church. I guess the best way I would describe it is agnostic, I would say.
Okay.
But I'm really still trying to find my way in that case. But it's a matter of just kind of like, okay, well, am I just going to die? Is that it? Or do I...
What happens after?
What happens? Is there a reincarnation? Is there an actual life? Am I going to be conscious that there's an actual life? And that's the thing, nobody knows.
No one knows, because consciousness is literally your brain.
Yeah.
Like, once you die, your brain.
Yeah, I know how we said.
You know what I'm saying?
Consciousness and soul are exact same thing.
And that's the thing is, like, with your soul, it's like, okay, well, what is my soul? Because you don't know what your soul is.
Yeah.
You can look at somebody and be like, oh, they're soulless, but what is it?
How do you quantify that?
Yeah, and
like,
it just...
what's the weight behind
Matter is energy that cannot be created or destroyed.
Yeah, and that's one way, like, because me, like, in my search for the answers to, like, death, you know, I've gone to science, I've gone to, you know, spirituality and stuff like that. And, like, with science, it's just the idea that, you know, we're all made of star stuff. You know, matter, energy can't be created, destroyed, just transformed. So, at the end of the day, once I die, all the energy that it took to, you know, make me
is also gone.
It sounds like that concept, like, if I was a worm, would you still date me?
Would you still date me?
Right?
But yeah, like, that's the thing, is like, in reality, 100% on a day-to-day, if I go down that spiral of like, I'm gonna die, I just go, nope. You just keep going, because you know you're not going to solve it. You know?
You're not.
And,
you're not.
you know, shout out to those people that, I keep saying that, but, like, you know, shout out to those people that, you know, get to an old age and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm like, I won't be.
Another way that I've tried to, like,
quantify,
rationalize death is, like, the idea of, do you remember anything before you were born?
No.
Then after you die, it'll be nothing. It'll be an instant.
But I think where I struggle with is like
the process.
You don't know what it felt like to know you were going to be born.
That's
you know
true.
what it's going to feel like to die. You know, whether that's quick or whether that's
slow and painful
or instant.
You know it's going to happen.
Right.
You know, there's I mean, not necessarily. You could go to bed and die in your sleep, which everybody is like, oh,
yeah, that'd be great.
That's what they're hoping for. Right?
Yeah,
and it happened.
As an adult, you know that, like, the slim chances, unless you're sleeping 24 hours a day, which I pretty much am, it's not happening.
That's a lot of sleep.
Oh man.
So, like, I guess the thing is, like, I'm not afraid of, like, death. I'm afraid of dying. And that's a really tough thing to, like, grasp. And I don't think, I mean, I'm going to say, like, cap on people that really are like, yeah, I'm ready for death. Because, like, look, I love Ryan with my heart and soul. I will never love somebody as much as I love that man. it might be blasphemous, but he makes me believe in a God. It's one of those things where, like, you can't understand anything other than something else had to have made this happen. And, you know, that could just be like, oh, they're so in love, it's sick. But that's how it feels.
That's how it feels.
And, you know, I've got, like, that little fairy tale story with him. But if he died, like, yeah, right now I would be like, yeah, I'd be ready to die. No, I wouldn't. I know myself. If I was lying on my deathbed or I just got shot, shout out Uncle Sammy. If I got shot and, like, Ryan's dead, I might be like, oh, well, whatever happens, like, I'll see Ryan. I'm like, according to the Christians, there's 2 places you could go.
You can go.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would hope. But, like, you know, it's, again, one of those things, like, you don't know. And I think, you know, if you want to, like, turn into it, that's, I think, one of the reasons people get frustrated, or I guess questionable or, like, non-religious people get frustrated with religious people, is that they have a constant, or at least most people, specifically Catholics, have an idea of, I can say that, I'm Catholic. They have this kind of concept of, you know, saying, this is what's going to happen. But you don't know that.
Blind faith.
Yeah.
It's like
that's
absolutes.
bullshit.
They speak in absolutes.
And that's fantastic that they have that faith.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful to have a blind faith. But that's not enough for me.
And that's not everybody.
Knowing that you're in the same spot I am. I think the biggest thing that I've been trying to do, and I keep saying that, I'm really, again, I'm not a perfect person, but one of the things that I try to do to achieve perfection is I want people to know that I'm down to earth. I want them to know that I have flaws and I don't have it figured out.
You're human.
And I think that's kind of what I look for in others is, it's fine if you have the beliefs you have, but to be completely honest, like, if I was Christian and I was like, I get, like, yeah, and I'm like, in a way, I guess I am. Like, if you told me, what do you believe in? I'm not going to say, like, Hinduism, because I'm still learning about it. I'm still learning about their multiple gods. But I guess, like, when it comes to, like, Christianity and stuff like that, if you believe in that, that's great. But I respect you more to be like, I don't know at the end of the day. I believe in this. It gives me faith. It gives me
purpose.
Hope, purpose. It's a way to walk through life. But I respect you being like, hey, as long as you walk through life trying to be the best person you can be, sweet. And I think that's kind of where I started to veer from Catholicism, is I had this idea of, like, well, as long as I try to be a good person,
there you go.
Wouldn't any God, whichever one it is, accept me?
There you go.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say with age comes wisdom. You are still young, and us too. We're still learning a lot, and I guarantee.
Like he's 70 years old.
And I guarantee you, when you're 34, looking back now, you're gonna know more than you did.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate this conversation. I'm gonna be like, dude, shut up.
How do you think I'm gonna fucking feel? Look at this fucking idiot right here.
Yeah.
Saying shit.
But yeah, you learn as you grow.
Thinking you know.
Yeah, we always think we know, but then we don't actually know.
But I think that's like.
That's awesome, though.
I think the crazy thing when you're like, nobody. I mean, maybe people do this, but nobody like takes that step back and they're like, oh my god. I guess it's very meta and it's kind of scary, but this idea of like, I'm living, I'm in a world, I'm conversing with other people. Like Jeff has his entire like own life. He's the main character in his own life, and you have your side stories, and I'm a side story in it. But I have my own life, and I have my whole thing going on.
So you're the main character in your story, but I'm the side character.
Yeah, and it's this wild thing of kind of like, I know you don't know what the hell you're doing. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But when we're talking on a day-to-day basis, I'm not going to tell you that.
Right. It's that hyper awareness
of
what's going on.
And like, I think that.
Do you know, or do you think you know?
Right, because like a little bit further back, like a couple years back, like I had the issue where like I had to lay off of smoking marijuana and stuff like that.
Because you're going down the rabbit hole.
Because I would just spiral. I would deduce everything in my life, my existence, my being, my purpose.
Yeah.
And like, what am I doing? And it was just like, it always sent me over the deep end. And like, Jeff was always there to keep me grounded. And, as I slowly kind of climbed back out, like, I started finding answers to those questions. They may not be the right answers, but they were answers. It's your answer. Exactly. It's an answer that would satisfy me until something
new comes up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too, is like, there's a healthiness to wanting to, like, I guess, know more answers to the universe.
Understand.
Or like, normal person's, can't think of what it's called, but like it's not psychology, but it's like physiology.
Physiology. Yeah.
But with that being said, it's a terrible road to go down because you can't climb out of it sometimes, and I definitely know that. And I think, for anybody that doesn't have depression, that's kind of what it feels like. Is this like it's a helplessness, not necessarily sad, but I find solace, I guess, in the idea of knowing that like you don't know what you're doing, I don't know what I'm doing, because I just have found like I'm easier on people. I'm not judging people. And because we lose sight on that, that's a lot of times where you get a lot of judgmental people because they're thinking this person screwed up my order because they're an idiot, as opposed to like, hey man, like somebody else wrote it down wrong. They messed it up. It's really busy. They didn't mean to do it. Yeah. And I think just kind of being, and I always say like, oh, it's because I'm in customer service. I'm never going to get mad at somebody for screwing something up. But it's not. I'm like, they're human. They didn't want to screw it up.
We're all born ignorant.
Yeah. Now, if you're trying to screw up my order, you got an attitude.
Now we got a problem.
Now we got a problem, but...
Let's go.
Oh, man.
That's kind of how I like to look at it,
Yeah.
But
how
you gonna like pinpoint the death thing on me? Because
like I just want like because you seem like you were open to like you have a lot of insight in this conversation.
I'm trapped in my mind. 100%.
Like because
you see why
because it's like some people you can't just
do you believe in
death? How do you deal with death?
That's why I can never get work done.
That's the thing. It's like I made the joke with Jeff. I was like, oh, I'm gonna plan for everything. I'm gonna whatever they're gonna throw at me, I'm gonna be ready for it. But like that's that's a thing. Like it's such a small thing that is so personal, and something you keep so close to your chest. And one of the things that I kind of grapple with, is it a good thing or a bad thing, is how open I am. There's the idea of trauma dumping, just jumping a bunch of stuff that's happened to you and calling it, love or whatever. Right. And it's not. For me, it's like, hey, this is what I've gone through. This is how I'm trying to figure it out, or I'm trying to react to it.
Navigate the world.
And, if there's a story of mine that you might take, and, like, you have a friend or something that goes through something terrible that's the same, you can at least be like, hey, man, like, how can I help? Or I know somebody that had that. It doesn't do me a disservice by telling somebody something vulnerable. If at the end of the day I tell somebody that tries to use it against me, then okay.
Right.
But if I give that away and it does something good, it's worth it.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of have a more well-rounded understanding of who I am, why I do what I do, and why I say what I say.
Thanks. I don't know if I do, but I try. Yeah. Again, it comes down to not knowing anything about me. I can't say in one specific way like I'm liberal. I can't say in one specific way I'm Christian.
Right. Libtard. Right. It's more like amorphous.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it feels like. Right. It's like I'm once again going back to a pool. Like I'm in this pool of just kind of figuring myself out, deciding a different way, and I can tell you if you say something to me like, yeah, I agree with it, I don't agree with it, or I need to figure it out.
Right.
And I think that's been my healthiest way of going through life.
But as you give a genuine answer, and you don't pretend that you know.
And that's the answer I never hear a lot from a lot of people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they always say. If you genuinely don't know something, just say I don't know, and then they'll teach you.
Yeah.
Or you learn.
It's a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing, is a lot of people, I guess not a lot of people, society. Go ahead.
I love it. Shit.
But society really kind of makes it as like you either know or you don't, and that's it.
Yeah.
Those are the only options. You have to have it figured out or you don't, and that's a problem if you don't.
Exactly.
But and that's kind of what I think, how like my mom loves to debate. I mean, I'm pretty sure that woman.
She's a debate bro.
She's
you gotta bring it on there.
But I think growing up with that and not enjoying that made it really tough. And it's not that I try to avoid a debate. I'll fight my butt off. I don't know who's listening, but I'll fight my butt off against anybody that's against Black Lives Matter. People are equal, and they should be equal. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, give me a trophy because I think people are equal. But I don't know why all of a sudden, I guess not all of a sudden, it's never been equal. But if we're the smartest we've ever been, and we're the most evolved we've ever been, we should have that figured out by now.
Yeah.
We can't sit here and say we're the smartest people on earth, and we can't treat people.
We can't even treat people
equally. Yeah.
But that's the thing is like I'll debate against that. I'm not trying to debate against should my taxes be raised for education or for roads. I don't care about that. But that's my thing.
Shit that matters, basically.
Yeah, and that's my thing is humanity. Like she loves debating, and that's just not something I look forward to do. So one of the things I've noticed about debating is it's always I have an answer, and that's it.
And that's it. Yes. Yes.
And it's very easy to just say like, I don't really know enough about the topic. Like, I do need to research that. And if you're going to keep telling me what you think, I'm just going to say, like, appreciate it. But that doesn't help. Like, I still need to figure it out.
Because you're just giving me your perception of what you think it is.
Yeah, and it's especially lethal in a time of a lot of misinformation, We're at a point where a lot of news sources don't care about what they're saying. They'll straight up say what they want to say.
Because it's opinionated, it's not fact,
on the internet,
But that's the thing is some are just not even opinionated. It is just straight up. I'm going to lie so that you believe this opinion.
Lie. Yeah.
So that's the thing is like, I can't, like with the whole Gabby Petito thing, right? It goes back to some people were trying to say it was similar to the, mass murders and how it's all fake and it's all.
Really? Oh man.
Listen, people were trying to say that like that wasn't real, like she hadn't actually been killed, or that she wasn't actually missing. And for me, like I did the research because like as much as I don't want to entertain it and be like that's really like messed up,
right?
I need to at least be able to, so that when I have conversations with people, and I have, say, hey, here's why that's wrong, and here's why they're telling you that, because they want you to believe. Because it's easy to go, oh, Gabby Petito isn't missing. She really did just kind of go off on her own. She's not killed. That this is just a whole conspiracy. It's so easy to then go into, well, mass murders aren't real. And that's
eventually you'll end up all the way at Holocaust denial.
Would you like to enlighten our audience who don't know about the Gabby Petito?
Yeah.
If you're from Florida, you know that. But go ahead.
But yeah,
it's just Florida people listening, sir.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Exactly.
I guess.
Okay.
But, Gabby Petito was a woman from Florida who went on a, I guess, cross-country road trip with her boyfriend at the time, made it all the way to, like, Yellowstone, and all of a sudden, her boyfriend, last year, right?
Yeah.
Last year,
her
boyfriend came home with no Gabby, and then refused to answer her parents' questions about where she was. His parents, like, locked down and, like, listen, I'm all for like ride or die, but not when you're the cold-blooded killed somebody.
What?
But everybody was just searching for her. Obviously, we all kind of knew something was up. They had a few, video cameras of like they were obviously having domestic spats. But basically, she ended up being killed. I'm pretty sure they like found her remains, but she had either been like hit with blunt force trauma or suffocated. She was suffocated, stuff like that. And her boyfriend at the time had gone missing because he also went on the run, and then they found his body in a swamp.
Yeah, he was dead.
Committed suicide like a coward. Listen, suicide is definitely a tough topic, and for anybody struggling with it, like I've been there, and like you could say the whole people love you, but like it does get better. Eventually, it gets better.
It does.
And it just takes. It does take time. And to reach out to people that do care. Right. If there's anybody that knows me, I do care. I am willing to reach out. If anybody knows me, I'm willing to reach out. Sorry, looking at the camera for that one. But if you're committing suicide to run from the fact that you took somebody else's life, you're a coward. At the end of the day, for me, you're a coward.
Yeah.
Because her parents will never get the justice that they deserve.
No.
Whatever that was, they'll never get it, and they'll never know 100% what happened. They'll read what he wrote in his journals, but they'll never know.
But they'll never know.
Yeah. So that's my thing. Is like there was this whole kind of jump, and that's the thing. Is one of the podcasts I listen to gets on the topic of like QAnon and stuff like that, and how they have these kind of like entryways of, oh, well, I can believe this, into, now we're talking about like Pizzagate.
It's like half-truths. They'll sprinkle
half-truths into a full-blown lie. And like, don't get me wrong, do I think that there's probably like Epstein Islands out there, I mean, that's already
proof
fuck yeah.
that there
look
was.
At Saudi Arabia. Look at all the. Come on.
But that's the thing is, like, an Epstein Island already proves that they are real.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you're going to tell me these specific people are involved, and you don't have, like, a list for me, Prince Charles? I guess King Charles?
King? Wait, he's king now?
Yeah, she finally died.
She died today.
The one that got married to Kate?
No.
No.
That bitch Camilla.
Wait, I thought...
He was married to Princess Diana.
Right.
The best woman out there. Cheated on her with Camilla. They got divorced. He started marrying Camilla. He's king now.
He's king now. How old is he?
73.
Oh, man. Bro, give it 20 years. We're chilling.
Well, yeah. Queen made it to 96, so...
Shit,
she was like, I ain't going back.
That's different, man.
I looked it up. She was, I mean, obviously at 96, but she was alive. Like, she was born before World War II.
1926.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was like.
She also contributed to all that fucking East Indian trading, all that bullshit.
Listen, we ain't royal family out of here.
Yeah. You know, a lot of the bullshit that's in the world. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to like they were one of, if not the first colonizers. So you're not going to have any sympathy for that. Yeah, I get it. Like, you're not necessarily, like, in power. You're more of a figurehead nowadays. But you still represent what it was.
It was.
Elizabeth was married to her cousin. So, like, you know, I'm not loving it too much, you know? And that's the same thing. It's like I can turn around and also look at America and be like, you're also absolutely terrible.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. What?
Yeah, we're not saints.
What? We are not saints.
Exactly. Nobody is. But,
no, sir.
Yeah.
But thank you for explaining that. What's going on?
Yeah. No, the scene froze. Yeah, I saw that. Like, she died at 96, and the craziest thing is, too, people wanted... they wanted her dead before Betty White. They were so pissed when Betty White died.
All right, we just talked about how there's no saints. Betty White's a saint. That woman's a saint.
Yes.
Through and through.
She fought in the war. She fought for equality at a time when, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still already controversial. Right. But at a time where it was controversial.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, she fought tooth and nail. And, I mean, up until her last day, she just...
That was crazy. She literally 1 week before her
100th
birthday.
That and Mac Miller.
Oh, that hurt, bro. That hurt me, man. But it was nuts how everyone tried to come after Ariana Grande for that shit.
That's messed up.
That's messed
Especially, like, with the mourning she's going... Like, listen, you can sit there and you can criticize the fact that she got with Pete Davidson as quickly as she did. You could criticize, you know, that you don't like her music or whatever you want to criticize. But when it comes down to, like, she obviously cared so much about him, and he was obviously struggling with so much. And at the end of the day, it's nobody's responsibility to carry you through your addiction.
Right. You can't put somebody's burden on you and say, "Oh, this is the reason why I
will
died."
Hold your hand, I'll guide you, but you got to take that.
You have to take that step.
She doesn't she didn't love him any less because of it, and that's the thing. Especially being as famous as you are, people are going to believe that they could. You know, there's girls out there that I'm sure were attracted to him that are like, I would have stayed with him, and it's like, that's great. But at the end of the day, like, that was her choice. Yeah. And the hardest thing to do is, I mean, you could tell if things had worked out, like, that's the man she was going to marry. Right. Or at least it seemed like it.
Yeah.
She was head over heels for him. And when he died, I mean, that was a really tough thing to watch her kind of go through because it was very obvious. And I mean, even in her music, by the way, bangers. But even in her music from that album, it was heartbreaking to watch, and she still obviously struggles with it. I mean, she got married now, but you watched her and Pete Davidson's relationship dissolve, and I give Pete a lot of credit for that. He took it on the chin. He understood like what she was going through.
That's facts.
And I mean, I got a little messy because she made that song about like he's got a big, he got a big dick, but at the end of the day, you know, I think there was somewhere he said like when he died, like he knew it was pretty much over, and I was like, that's tough because you know how much she loved him.
Yeah.
Damn,
man.
Yeah.
Damn. Do you think that kind of affected Pete in a way? Because, like, now he's everyone's side piece now.
Sort of. I mean, I think...
Oh, with, what's her name?
Yeah, Kim.
Kim Kardashian.
I think Kim Kardashian... I mean, I don't know. Again, this is just speculation.
Yeah, we can speculate.
Hypothetical.
Let's speculate.
You just love fucking pressing that button.
Anybody listening is going to be so tired.
Yeah, they're going to be like, fuck, press something else.
But, I don't know if that affected him. Like, I'm not sure. I think, like, and this is my little, like, I guess, hot topic. I think Kim affected him a lot because, you know, I think he wanted to date Ariana. He knew he had gotten into it, like, pretty hot. I mean, they were getting engaged months, if that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think he said a few times too, like, yeah, it was tough, but it was pretty quick. It was a little too quick. She'd just come off this breakup, so I'm sure from the start there was already issues there.
Right.
I mean, Ghostin', her song Ghostin', where she's like, I'm wishing he was in bed with me.
Damn.
I was like, it probably should have ended there, but at least she's like being 100% honest about it. I'm sure she maybe was honest about it in the relationship, because he never, like, seemed blindsided.
Yeah.
Even though he seems like a cool guy, I feel like he would have been like, yeah, it was fucked up, but whatever.
Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah, but and I think that's the only thing you heard about their relationship that he was pissed off about was the fact that she, like, wrote that song talking about his nuke, and he's like, man, I was there for you emotionally, and, like, all you got is that.
Damn.
Meanwhile, right before that, she said, like, what did she say? She said, like, I thank you for Mac or whatever, because he's an angel, and I'm like, imagine being any of her exes.
That's wild, man.
Any of her exes, and
Damn.
she goes and, like, Mac's an angel. I was like, you done? Like,
we're
but
good.
I think Kim affected him because, like, yeah, he went through all that Yeezy stuff, which I'm gonna be controversial. I think Yeezy definitely needs help.
He does.
And what he's doing is 100% wrong.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And there's a lot of people out there that think, like, no, they're just trying to keep him back. He needs to see his kids. And I'm like, being a kid that's gone through that, like, seeing such a toxic thing, it's not right. And then involving the public, like, yeah, I know, like, people eat that shit up. We don't need to be involved in that. At the end of the day, whether you like Kim Kardashian or not, she deserves her privacy.
Right.
Even though she missed her straight.
That's what was crazy too, because, like, even with that, where I think it was it back in 2012? I think it was in 2012 when
with the robbery. Yeah, and
people
I mean,
were cheering
that affected her. Like, I'm very much so, like, and again, this is controversial. I'm very much so, like, eat the rich, right? Like, I don't think there needs to be billionaires.
No,
millionaires, fine, especially if you're a self-made millionaire. But billionaires, I mean, I kind of make an exception for Rihanna. I love that. And that's wrong. Look, I am not perfect.
Fenty.
I love Rihanna.
I support Fenty.
But, like, I am in a mindset of, like, yeah, you should give. If I was a billionaire and you said, I want to take all of your money and I want to make you a millionaire, but I want to take all that money and give back, I'm okay with having to mope and grope about the fact that I lost that money. I'm giving back.
Yeah, that's right.
But even though she's a millionaire or whatever, she's still a millionaire right now. Kim deserves her privacy. And that was such a traumatic thing. And in some of her interviews, I mean, she didn't do interviews for months.
Yeah.
She didn't go outside for months.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And then in her first interview, she, like, you could tell she was emotional about it. And that's tough. And it's extremely tough to be, like, texting your ex and being like, hey, we don't need to be doing this through here. I mean, at the end of the day, Kim was done. She was ready to stay married, be with him, and, you know, it just didn't work out. I mean, he told everybody at a church gathering that she got an abortion, and that's tough.
It's hard to stay in a relationship when he's putting all your trauma,
your business out there,
all your business,
all out there, and, like, especially after the robbery, knowing that, like, that's not what she's about. And again, I'm not a Kardashian fan, but I can relate to that. I can understand.
She's human.
Yeah. So I think being with Pete, and he went through all of that. You know, I mean, Kanye was going after him. I mean, that music video he made. Did you see that music video?
No, I did not.
He made a music video pretending he had Pete's head.
Yeah.
Like, cut
it's
off.
Crazy shit.
Boy, that man was jealous.
It's crazy
yeah,
shit,
and he took it on the chin. He made, like, a joke about it or something.
Yeah.
He said he liked the music video or something. So he went through all of that. He's, you know, being a part of these kids' lives, even after the breakup. He went and got himself in rehab because he knew that, like, he needed to get checked out. I think that's tough. I think he maybe had, like, a tight relationship with her. He really enjoyed being with her. And to be like, you know what, this affected me enough that I need to go get checked out and keep an eye out on me, and then to still come back and be, like, that good guy.
Damn.
Because he even left SNL too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he left
2022, right? Because he was there since 2012.
Yeah, something like that. And the fact, and, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, Pete did not owe Kim anything. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, he didn't. He wasn't married to her. Doesn't have kids with her. He didn't mention a thing about her. He hasn't said a word about her. He didn't say anything about the fact that they were dating until she was comfortable with it. And it's that wild thing where, like, it's a blessing that she, I guess, had him because she helped her feel alive again.
Yeah.
And I guess he was bringing brightness when she's dealing with this very like public divorce.
Right.
He seemed to be very like supportive of her becoming a lawyer, which is great, good for her. I mean, she's at least done some good getting people out of prison. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
she got Kodak out of it.
My name Kodak Black. When you see me, I'm white.
I'm white.
My name Kodak Black. I'm a fucking white wife.
That man played too much, bro.
But that's what I'm talking about. It's like
shout out to Justin for showing us that video.
I gotta give her the credit where credit's due, and I gotta give Pete the credit. Like, yeah, I think Ariana maybe messed him up. He handled that like a champ.
Like a champ.
But I can only do it based off of evidence, and what it seems like with Kim, I was like, man, that hurt.
Wow.
That put him on his knee for a second.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that's great.
It did.
Yeah.
Because, like, who was posting their conversations? Was it him or was it Kanye? One of them was posting their conversation.
Kanye, I think, did, but I think Pete kind of played in a few times where he, like, mentioned, I think, like fucking his wife or something like that. And I was
no!
Listen.
My favorite one was where he took the picture.
It.
He was right next to Kim or some shit like that.
But that's the thing.
Like, in bed with your wife.
Like, yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Kanye texts him, what are you doing? I'm in bed with your wife.
And see, that's the thing is people, like, lost their mind. They're like, well, Kanye's trying to get her back. And I'm like, listen, man, the minute you out my abortion, the minute you out, and you're, like, saying, like, how dare, she killed my baby. I'm like, first of all, she told you. You know she told him. There's no way she just made that decision without him. She tried multiple times to stay with him. I mean, at one point he was even living on like his ranch, and she was living in LA, and she's like, I'm trying to figure it out. I give her the credit. She did her best, and or at least it seems that way. You know, nobody knows behind closed doors, but it seemed that way. And meanwhile, Kanye's posting their freaking texts. Like, I want our kids to go to Donda, and I'm like, I would understand why maybe he doesn't want.
Bro, that man lost his mind.
Have you lost your mind?
If you're gonna wear a Make America Great Again hat.
Oh, yeah.
And be talking about how slavery was a choice.
It was a choice.
And all that, and then turn around and say, like, how dare this woman keep me from my kids? I was like,
that's wild.
Plus, like, I'm pretty sure she came out and was like, I'm not keeping him from his kids.
No.
But that's something.
So.
Yeah, he needs therapy.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, he does.
I honestly think everything went south after his mom died.
And that's tough.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It did.
After his mom died.
Yeah.
Like.
Because he came out with an awesome album, and after his mom died, it was just shit from there.
I mean, the album, you know, then the school, like, you can tell he obviously loves his mom, and, like, it's still reeling from that. But, I mean, that's the thing is, like...
Because it's like, she's the only one there to talk sense.
She's the only one that grounded him.
You just got a bunch of yes men.
Yeah, she's the only one that grounded him.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that, like, people don't give her credit for. Like, yeah, you could go after the fact that she's appropriated black culture and she's taken a lot from creators, 100%. A lot of her businesses she's taking from small black creators, 100%. That doesn't make it right. But like I said, like, a little earlier, people are not black and white. It is very gray.
Yeah.
And while I don't agree with that, and that doesn't mean I support her or anything like that, it, at least from my end, is very clear that, like I said, she was done. She was ready to just have this relationship, be with him, and just live their lives together. And, of course, that would be in the public eye and stuff like that,
right.
But she was ready for that. And the fact that she and, you know, you could turn to the fact that, like, she was married to Chris Humphries for, like, what, 46 days or something?
Yeah. I remember that. That was wild.
46 days.
That was wild.
Yeah. And she even says,
awesome.
like, that was embarrassing for her. But, like, the fact that she's like, no, like, I wanted this to work with Kanye, and it doesn't, that sucks.
And he's the one who did most of the bullshit.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is even though he did most of the bullshit, I can also turn around and say, like, you're sick. Like, you need help. And that's not me looking down on him, but that's me saying, like...
He needs mental health.
That's one of those things where, you know, especially men and, you know, the minority
black
in
men,
men,
especially,
black men.
Those are supposed to be
need
tough.
help. I mean, did you hear about that the TikTok with the black therapist? And she said black men need therapy. And they got her fired from her job.
Yeah, remember she was on TikTok. They banned her for saying that.
I remember that. Yeah, they did get her fired.
It went controversial.
They got her fired from her job, and I was like, and again, I'm a white woman. I have no business speaking on that, but that's one of those things where it's like, I can recognize that there's specific people out there, specifically black men, that do not get the support.
Yeah, because all you hear in inner circles is, man up, be a man.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing is, like, all men are told, like, don't show emotions.
Right. Yeah.
Black men specifically go through what I would say, for the most part, more trauma than white men. You know, there's a better chance of having, you know, your father in home, because there's not this, you know, circle of crime and being stuck in that. You have the ability to be a little bit more well off. So you have the chance of not going to poorer schools or having a better education, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So being stuck in that situation, it makes it even tougher because you have to do kind of, not to say like I relate, but kind of like what I did. I didn't go to therapy. I didn't have somebody to sit there and say like, hey, you need help.
Right.
But it'd be nice if you did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, is it's really tough to come out of that, and I commend everybody, specifically black people, like black women, black men, that do come out of that, because I don't think the world gives enough credit to the fact that, I mean, of course other people, but like white people didn't go through slavery. No. I mean, your great grandparents were stuck, or your great grandparents would have been stuck in that. Yeah. Your grandparents and your parents definitely were like through segregation, and still.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah,
we're Haitian.
Well, they would. Come on, Jeff.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on,
Jeff. That's true.
If you're black and you're in the Western Hemisphere, you're a descendant of a slave.
Honestly,
bro.
probably the entire
world. You're a descendant
world.
of a slave. Yeah, that's facts.
That's pretty much the entire world.
If you're black and outside Africa, you're descendant from.
And that's the thing. It's like I could go all the way back and get technical and be like, well, Greek people had slaves and like we were enslaving each other, but like who cares? It's not the same. Like that's not effective. That was like
that wasn't
BC,
chattel
baby.
slavery.
Yeah, that was before Christ.
That wasn't chattel slavery.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the thing, is people, especially like white people, sometimes you can't hear, white people love to just,
folks.
No, they love to just be like, oh, that was so long ago. I'm like, bitch, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. And that's the thing, is I commend like minorities, specifically black people, because how do you do it? Like, how do you fight tooth and nail in a world that has shown they don't care about you and still come up? Still be Kanye West, be Beyonce, like do those things. Kanye's got his own problems going on, and he needs help, and he needs to get it figured out. But at the end of the day, like, is he like, I always say, like, is Kanye a genius? I don't think you get to be a genius when you did the things you did. But I respect that in a musical sense. Yeah, you're a genius. You paved the way. Nobody else has done that. And that's insane. Wow. So there's a respect to it, but that doesn't mean it's...
I think
don't be the stigmatism that everybody says.
Well, that's the thing, though. Most of it is like propagated. It's supported through,
and people are eating.
You know, like this whole like toxic masculinity, the manosphere. It's
the
like,
red pill.
The red pill.
All that
like
bullshit.
all of that.
That alpha man.
The alpha.
I'm the Sigma.
I'm a Sigma. Yeah. When I heard that shit, I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my god.
Giga
Bro,
Chad.
we go through the whole Giga Chads and shit.
Oh my god.
A Chad.
Well, anytime I think of Chad, I just think that meme now. It's like,
oh yeah, that's fucking
bro. That man in that mandible.
The side. Oh, that's awesome.
Good chin.
That's
oh
awesome, man. I would love to cosplay as that guy. Let me get to the gym real quick.
I'll be back in 10 years, guys.
Yeah, so it's just stuff like that, because it's like, how, like, where do you? Because I talked to him about this a few weeks back, where I was like, this is an issue men have to like address.
Yeah, the outlet episode was basically about
like, Go ahead.
No, the outlet episode that we came out with, we were just kind of basically addressing that if you have mental health issues or anything like that,
it was all Andrew Tate.
Yeah, it was on Andrew. Yeah, it was on Andrew Tate, because you know they'll take certain clips of him, and then and the way he speaks and the way he treats women and all that stuff like that. And I said, this is not the guy to represent all men, because all these kids with internet brain will think this is how men.
This is
how women actually are.
Right.
Yeah.
He'll describe that one woman, whether it be blonde, brunette, or whatever, and then that man will go outside of his comfort zone, the computer screen, go outside and think all women are
and
assholes.
Project all that he just consumed out into the real in IRL.
And that's the thing, is like, you could say like, you know, Andrew Tate definitely has maybe a mental health issue and needs to get that figured out. At the end of the day, what you're saying is extremely sexist.
Yeah.
And it does end up affecting women. I mean, the fact that, you know, just a few days ago there was a woman jogging who was killed just because she's jogging, or like, I went to the gym today and I'm getting stared down by a 60-year-old man, and that's my life.
Cringe.
That's what I live. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the same thing in terms of like being of a darker skin and having people prejudge you for whatever it is, whether they think you're a terrorist or they think, you know, you're
gonna steal.
Yeah, you're a thug.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that women experience on a daily is that we're, and this is kind of what, you know, Tate does, is we're a sex object. That's it. We're a sex object, but how dare we be a sex object because we should be wives and mothers and we should be these virgins. And it's that, what is it called? The horror, the Madonna complex. And it's this idea of we need to be just as holy as the Mother Mary, but how dare we have the body that we have? I can't affect the way that I look.
Right.
I understand that there's certain features of mine that are desirable. I can't affect that. I grew up that way. Right. At 15, I grew an ass, and all of a sudden, I've got adult men coming after me
because you look like an adult.
And I don't know how to I don't know how to handle that. And that's the thing, is it's really tough that there's somebody that has a platform, and I'm glad he's been deplatformed and they're taking him off, is because it's so unhealthy, and at least it kind of shows some form of support, because I think a really tough thing that women see on the daily is men agreeing with other men or not speaking up about it. And it's just it's not a fun, obviously it's not a fun life to live.
Yeah.
Here's my to the whole deplatforming thing. I can understand why he was deplatformed,
but his message is gonna get across.
But for me, once you put that curtain in front of someone, you essentially end the conversation. And now those people who are pushing that idea will just do it behind closed doors.
Yeah, like they'll go find it. Like, I mean, like Trump has his own website.
Yeah.
Or like a few days ago, they just took down a website that was
Truth
doxing.
Social?
I think it might have, no, not Truth Social.
Okay.
It was I can't think of the word. It was some weird website, but it was basically doxing people on the left that disagree with like conservatives, or I guess QAnon specifically, because there is a difference now. But they were doxing people and finding where they lived, and like one woman committed suicide, another woman left the country because they were like looking for them. And I think that's the thing, is like, on one hand I do agree, like, yeah, deplatforming just means they're going to go find their own platform, or you know, they'll find another way. It is a tough situation. That's kind of what we talked about in terms of like what's correct. And you know, everybody loves to say politically correct, but it's just what's correct.
It's what's correct.
On the other hand, like,
what is humane?
I think, like I said, it's that support of, like, I know that, you know, TikTok not letting him be on TikTok, although, you know, some people post it, or saying like he can't be on YouTube or wherever he's on. We're not going to allow him to be on there or we're not going to let him be on there because that's wrong. What he's saying is misogynistic. It's going to get women hurt.
Well, the thing too is he doesn't even
have a platform.
They invite him to their shows, and then they're just spreading.
And that's the thing, is like, and I mean, you know, you could turn around and say, well, we're talking about him, other places are talking about him, and that's wrong. And I'm like, you know what, no, I think it's fine if you show clips of him and you're like, hey, this is why we think this is wrong. You don't have to agree with it, but I don't necessarily think you're a better person for agreeing with him. Yeah, like, I'll straight up say it. If you agree with Andrew Tate, you're a bad person.
But again, too, that's why we're saying he is the wrong person to represent men as a whole,
exactly,
on the platform.
Exactly, because because it's the idea that men need a space to dissect their emotions, their beliefs, and why they believe certain things.
Their own space.
Yeah, because we're always told to hold it in, be a man, be tough, blah, blah, blah. You can't cry.
But when this particular man does it, it's, no, you're doing it the wrong way. But if he does it long enough, what did you see start happening? Other men started coming into the fold and saying, either A, this is what it is, he's correct, or B, they challenge him.
Exactly, and I do appreciate the people that challenge. Because, like, I will agree, you know, you look at all these clips of what he said, and everybody's focusing on what is said. Nobody's really looking at the podcast to then say, well, they challenged it, they disagreed with it, and they told him why he was wrong. And there's a few people that did. There were.
Like Hassan.
Exactly.
That was hilarious.
Hassan challenged
Hassan Piker. I don't know if you ever heard
I did.
Yeah, okay.
I got you. That
fucking Greek tank.
No, Turkish.
Yeah.
Those freaking
Hassan
Piker, bro. That man is a... All right, go back.
No. But I 100% agree. Like, again, it comes down to, like, that's not my space to talk about it. At the end of the day, I'm not a male. I'd love to be a white male. These dudes got it figured out. They got it figured out.
Let me
But
we silently struggle though.
Exactly, but that's the thing is like they don't have their space. I mean, one of the things they talk about the firefighter's curse that like 70% of firefighters get divorced.
Yeah.
Being from a firefighter family that was divorced, I know it's a lot of times because they're not talking about it, or like their whole idea. Whether it's not like my dad never came home and talked about what he saw at work, and I'm not saying he should have.
He should have, right.
But that knowing, like going to work, seeing something terrible, not talking about it means that you're going to come home and you're not going to talk about your problems. You're not going to talk about, oh, hey, I'm really stressed today. I know that you need help with the kids. Can I have like 10 minutes to myself? You're not going to do that.
Right.
And in the same way that women are trying to figure out their own issues, men need their own space to do that too. And I do recognize that like he should. I don't think he should have a platform, I guess.
He should have a platform, but
I do agree that like what's happening where he is going on shows and people are challenging 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
But it is a sticky slope, or I guess like a sticky situation where now you have kids that are like, yeah, no, I agree, and it's like under no circumstances you should agree.
Right.
I mean, it should be one of those things where you would hope everybody that's bringing him on is like, hey, that's not right, and this is why it's not right, and just absolutely destroying him.
Challenge him, yeah.
That's not the case, unfortunately. A lot of men do agree with it.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, it is the same thing as there's women you don't see too often. I mean, you do, but there's not too many women that get that popular that are like, I hate men. But you see a lot of women that are like, you should be housewives. You should be subservient to your husband. They always get the meals before you or your kids. Blah 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 blah. And then that's like another thing where like, while men should handle that, women also have a voice in that because he's speaking that disrespectfully of women in the same way that women need to handle other women that say, hey, you should be subservient. If he beats you, it's your fault. You've done this or you've done that. That's something we need to handle and figure out on our own. At the same time, doesn't mean that I'm not going to be upset that you guys are like, hey, what she said is messed up. I'm going to be like, yeah. Now, if you're like, I agree, she should be able to, we should be able to beat women. I'm going to be like, hey, man.
We're not the
like
same
that
way.
one question, why don't women want to cook and clean? They're tired.
Yeah,
I
man.
say that all the time.
They turn around and say like, oh, well, they should be housewives again, but that's not.
Stop bringing the 1950s to 2022.
Listen,
that's not how that works.
What is it? You spend like a third of your life sleeping. You want me to spend the second third of my life in my house?
Yeah. But and that's the thing. It's like, okay, be a housewife, but everything that the housewife did in those times, there's something to do it for you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Cook. There's a whole bunch of things that can cook for you.
Pressure
we got
cooker.
DoorDash. You know what I'm saying? A dishwasher. We got little iRobot vacuums. So it's like, what do you really want?
And at the end of the day, like if you want to be like, I guess that's what I want for women. My equality thing is that everybody's
the choice.
Yeah, I guess perfect world is everybody's seen equal, obviously based off color, sex, orientation, whatever. I don't care if you see yourself as a different gender. I don't care if you see yourself liking a different sex. Go for it. I would love to see women. If you want to be a housewife, you go ahead and be a housewife.
Yeah.
You be the best goddamn
and don't get ostracized or shamed.
Yeah, because
because there are women that are.
I've seen like it's not all there, but I've seen this transition where it's like I want to be a stay-at-home mom, and like you'll get the side.
And everybody's like, why would you want that? Why don't you want to be successful?
Be a boss babe.
That's so degrading.
And you can 100% be successful as a housewife in your own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think it comes down to like, what is it that you want? And I think the reason, earlier when I had said, there's women out there that are like, we should all be housewives, we should be subservient. It's this idea, and I guess that's kind of what Andrew Tate's doing, and that's the difference, is if Andrew Tate came on and said, I believe that women are second class. I believe that if a woman does wrong, I should pop her in the jaw. It'd be different. I don't agree with it, and people should fight against that.
Right.
But that'd be different. He can believe that. Just like a woman can believe, I would like to be a housewife. I would like to be subservient. When you start turning around, and this goes in the same way of saying that you should only be a boss babe, is turning around and saying, this is how it should be done. And that goes all the way back to what we were talking about in terms of religion, of this is it. This is the only way. Correct, incorrect. It doesn't have to be that way.
It's not black and white. Like
exactly, yeah. If you want to, like, in your house, be subservient, be a housewife, absolutely. Now, there are black and white answers to certain questions. You should not abuse your wife. You should not abuse your husband. You should not be racist. You should not be sexist. You should not, be bigoted towards the LGBTQ. Like, those are just very straightforward answers. Some people don't agree with that, but is what it is. At the end of the day, and again, that comes down to Christianity. Like, Christianity's idea is, well, for me to be a good Christian, I shouldn't agree with man laying with man. Well, the Bible's been written so many times. You're just agreeing with what the person in front of you is telling you. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to be a good person.
How do you feel?
At the end of the day, it's one verse. You know what I'm saying? Love thy neighbor as you love thyself.
Yeah, or you could even turn around and say, like, what is it? The first person to cast stone. Blah, blah, blah.
He with no sin
cast the
first stone.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, that's not my job to judge you. It's God's stuff.
That's God's.
If you believe in God, it's God's job.
Or
the universe.
Most religious people.
Or the universe, because if you're not religious, then karma.
Yeah.
I think, it's very easy to turn and point a finger or wag at Christians, or, Christians wagging a finger at Muslims and atheists. Everybody has their own thing that they've done wrong, or their own judgment that they have towards others. And I think, again, I don't have it all figured out, but I think kind of coming into one center idea of who cares?
Who cares?
You do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do.
We're human.
If you're not hurting anybody.
Let me treat you as such. Yeah, I agree.
If you're not hurting anybody, you're not oppressing anybody.
Right.
Do what you need to do.
It's just that absence of humanity and just...
But like he said too, we are all born ignorant. We don't know ideas an original idea. We just hear it from someplace else.
We're all born ignorant. It in. History's written by the victors.
Yeah, and of course,
it's a tale as old as time. Man.
Yeah, and of course, people who just consume what they hear just regurgitate.
Yeah, they just consume content and it's
understand why
they
you
don't
feel
really.
The way you feel.
They don't really understand the idea. Or it's like prime example. Even going back to Tate, I hate to bring it up again. But it's like a lot of these young men, some older men, and men in his circle. Well, the men in his circle understand, but a lot of these young men, they're taking all these bits of information, and it gives them this validation, like, okay, I got the answers, I can do it. But, like, what they don't realize is it's work. Like, if you're aiming for those IG baddies, or, these models.
Or the Lambos, or the mansion.
That's work. But here's one thing you need to come to terms with. Not everyone's going to win. No. You know what I'm saying? Not everyone's going to be able
90% of them are going to fail.
Yeah, 90% of people are going to fail. And it's like why we use the phrase internet brain. It's like a lot of people feel that they know things because they just consume the information, and because they have that enlightenment from that information that was provided to them.
Perfect example, she went to the Bahamas. You can talk about
right. I could watch a video about the Bahamas, tell you everything in the Bahamas, the bars, the views, the scene, the whatever, the people, the culture, and then I could go there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's different.
And it's completely different. So it's like they get this hit of dopamine, like, yeah, this is what I believe in, but I'm not willing to put it into work. Yeah. It's like, oh, she doesn't want to talk to me because I'm not a Chad and I don't make 6 figures and da da da. Well, if that's what your idea of a perfect man is, to get that woman that you're seeking, put in that work. And
I think that's the thing, too, is that kind of mentality that, some men have kind of taken on, considering Andrew Tate, is this idea of, like, women do not have their own
autonomy
ideas. Right. And I mean, it's actually talked about a lot, like the female gaze versus the male gaze. A male gaze is... Chris Evans, although we can all agree Chris Evans is a snack and deserves to be where he is. Chris Jamal Evans, I mean...
Chris Hemsworth too.
Yeah, Chris. But like, like Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, that's a male's perception of that's what I've got to be. Meanwhile, like Tom Hiddleston, Pete Davidson are getting the women, and to them it's like, no, there's no way. And it's because there is a different female gaze. And, I can't speak for the Insta baddies. I can't speak for the women that are, dating the rich Lamborghini guys. Because we were just talking about it earlier, like, if it was Elon Musk, would you have his baby?
No.
I can't speak for them, but I can speak for me as a female. And my whole thing is, like, it does come down to that connection. It's that idea of, can I build a life with you? Are you interested in me? Do you see me as an equal? And, I think one of the beautiful things that I have with Ryan specifically is that my life is not what I thought it would be. A lot of the times, like, even when, like, my mom is a very strong woman, but even in that case, sometimes I saw the mother-father role. I saw a subservient, dominant role, whether that was my dad being subservient or her. It's weird being in a relationship with somebody that fully sees you as an equal. That is it. That's, we have complete 50-50. If there's a day where he needs me more than I need him, I've got his back. But it goes the opposite way. And in terms of making decisions, when we have kids, when we have, get married, all of that, it is 100% 50-50. And it's a very freeing thing to be, because I'm just his best friend.
Well, I've been hearing from a lot of older people that a relationship is not 50-50, it's 100-100. Because if you're down, he has to pick up that 50%.
Yeah.
And then it's 150 on him and then 150 on you.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing that a lot from a lot of older people, like, because I know a lot of people say, oh, relationships 50-50, but I think it's 100-100 when it comes down to it.
And even then, later on in life, it's like, that's why you'll see, like, 50-year-olds
they grow together, they learn, like, they hate things about each other, but they understand to
and it's that same
compromise.
Concept.
Understanding.
There you go. That's a better word.
Hey,
So, my final question to you
Oh boy.
is, what's your plan for the future? Because I'm definitely crashing your wedding, and I heard there's going to be X-Men themed, so.
No, it's not.
As you can see.
Well,
I'm a nerd.
The reason why.
I'm going to bust through the doors with my Juggernaut helmet.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Oh, man, Jeff, what are you doing? You know why I did this? Because I'm the Juggernaut, man.
Well, the reason why, not to dox Ryan, his last name is Storm.
Ooh,
there you go.
That's so cool.
That's already,
Mr. Storm.
That's it.
Mr. and Mrs. Storm. Oh my God, that's so awesome. That's such a cool episode.
Money Shot Matt likes to say that I'm going to have an X-Men themed wedding, and he's going to come in as Professor X.
I'm ready.
Because he's bald.
Oh man.
Man.
I'll be Luke Cage, but the short version though.
I will rent a hover round for him. That way you could just.
I told him he's got to show up, and then like when we kiss, he'll like stand up and be like, "It's a miracle."
It's a miracle. Oh, that's fine.
Is he gonna shave his head, or is he gonna wear a bald cap?
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know the future, and I think that's kind of exciting and nerve-wracking. Obviously, getting married would be nice.
Awesome.
First, my job.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
I want
to be stable.
Help. I want to figure it out, and like even you could say financially stable, but it's just being stable, figuring out a spot where I'm comfortable with. I don't think here Fort Myers is my stable, where I'm going to be. I don't know where my home is going to be, but I'll figure it out. Being with Ryan is, and I struggled for a long time deciding if I wanted to have kids or not because of the world we live in, and especially having a daughter. I'm afraid. At the end of the day, every single day, even though we play it off, every single day I'm afraid being a woman.
Andrew Tate coming up to her. And,
or just anybody, because at the end of the day, it could be anybody.
It could be anybody, bro.
But I do think I'm going to have kids. I got the names picked out and everything. It's going to be great.
You want to give us a sneak peek? Initials?
Jeff.
Well, Leo, for a boy, I like Leo. And Theo. I know those match, and nobody likes that, but Theo, because I want Greek involved.
We're all clones. We all share the same name.
Jeff and Jeff? I didn't know.
Jeff and Jeff.
So Leo, Jeff, Bernard, I like that.
Stop playing.
I'm joking.
Boy, get out of here.
What did he say?
Get out of here, bro.
But, yeah, like, I am willing to fight for my kids, tooth and nail.
That's
and I'll never, my biggest thing, I guess, in terms of the future, when I think about it, is I want my kids to have the things that I felt like I didn't have, and part of that is being open to question and being open to living a life that they're figuring it out, but they know that I'm there to cover them and have their back. And I think that's really important to figure out when you're a child. My dad loved to say children should be seen, not heard. That's something I don't agree with. I want my child to talk to me, not talk back to me.
No.
But I do think there is a spot where we're at the end of the day humans. It's really hard to remember that your parents are humans too, and they're gonna make mistakes. And as a parent, you forget that. You forget I'm making of course parents say oh, I hit my kid, and now they're crying and screaming, and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm a terrible parent. Unless you're one of those Southern or those black parents where
I got
they deserved it.
Bro, what?
Oh, I got my ass beat.
We're pain resistant.
I got gator skin, boy. Stop playing.
Man. But for me as a mom, there's gonna be times where I screw up, and I know my kid's gonna know that. But I need them to also know I've got their back.
That's a learning
process, my kid's gonna grow up. They're gonna be introduced to weed. they're going to be introduced to other drugs and alcohol. Things, right. And I need them to know that they can come to me. I'm not saying I'm going to be like that mom from Mean Girls, which is like teen protection. Or, I'm not going to be like
condoms and shit.
I'm not going to be like, let's definitely have sex in my house. But I am going to be like, hey, man, like, you're going to experience the world. Right. And it's fine, and you're going to experience it.
Yeah, don't shelter your kids, because that's the worst thing you can ever do.
Yeah. I don't want you to be alone. Yeah. I need, because, like, some of the things that I went through, and this is something we could talk about if I come back, is, like, I've had adults that took advantage of me as a child in a sense where they should not have been inappropriate with me. Wow. Yeah, I've had adults that crossed a line. Right. And of course, if you don't agree, like we've been talking about opinions and stuff, if you don't agree that an adult should not be with a child, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
But, I've experienced that, and I think that really, I wish it didn't happen, of course, right. The amount of time, or the times it happened. But I can at least take from that and say, I can be there for my kids and have them feel, or as best as I can, and have them feel comfortable talking to me, because there's going to be experiences. I'm not going to be able to go to school with them 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's kids that we worry about when there's adults there too, and not every adult is safe just because you're,
that's true.
A teacher or whatever you are. So having my kids know that I'm that person they can go to. I'm that bitch. I've been that bitch.
I've been that bitch. I'm still going to be that. What the fuck?
Have them knowing that. And, like, just knowing that I'm going to be your mom. I'm going to discipline you when you've done wrong. I'm going to show you the right way. But if you're in a car accident, if you have somebody that's being inappropriate with you, if you're online and you're scared, if you're at a party and you've been drinking and you're afraid to drive, if something is a thing that we can all agree is a not safe place to be, I need my kids to know, like, I'm not judging them.
Here,
I'm letting it go. I'm just there to save you. Because at the end of the day, my job as a parent is to raise you and keep you alive.
But that's why it's good, because then they'll be more open to come to you, where a lot of teenagers tend not to do that with their parents because they know how they're going to react, and that's the biggest issue.
Right.
Now, a lot of teenagers can go to their parents knowing that I can talk to my mom or I can talk to my dad about anything, because they're going to judge me right away, or they're going to do this and that, because the first thing that goes to their mind is punishment.
Yeah. Or that what you're doing, or something you've been put into, you're thinking, I've done wrong, it's my fault. When in reality, the situation, like, I thought when I was put in those situations that if I told anybody, I was going to get that person in trouble, and it would be my fault.
It would be your fault.
Instead of realizing I should have never been put in that situation. And there were times where, there's always a power dynamic. There always is.
Oh, yeah.
And there were times where that was really put on me. And it's this idea of, like, I can't say anything. I can't do anything. And you feel helpless.
Yeah.
Or, every time somebody says, like, oh, kids are messing around with adults, or, something like that, they're just trying to be grown. And it's like, not always. You might work your way. You might be like, oh, I'm going to talk to this adult and I'm going to flirt or whatever. And then, at least as a girl, you're like, oh, I'm going to flirt or whatever. And then you get into a situation where you're like, this is not what I wanted.
This is not what you wanted.
I didn't know about this, because you're a kid.
Right.
Having somebody you can go to and saying, like, hey, this happened to me, and having them believe you is a huge thing. Not having, like, an adult that I felt like would believe me. And not having an adult that I knew would just not only believe me, but would not punish me.
Right.
Made things really tough. And I need to be that for, if I have kids, my kids, and if not my kids, somebody.
Yeah.
And it's tough,
Yeah.
Especially in a world where, people do come out and say something's happened to them, and they don't get believed.
Right. That's facts. That's facts. And that makes it harder for everybody.
Yeah, but long story short, very long story short, that's kind of my future. It's not necessarily my plans and what I'm going to do, but who I'm going to be, and
just crunch the bottom.
What my plan is for them. The dog's like, not about it. I'm doing a hate crime on this dog.
Animal abuse.
Oh, man. Right. So, last thing before we go, is there a message?
There you go. That's what I was about to ask.
Is there a message you want to leave
with our audience? Something you want to resonate or put
something that resonates with you. Something that you.
Well, I believe that I've talked enough, but.
There's no such thing.
Oh, 100%. You ever listen to somebody just go and you're like, all right.
Yeah, but if you're with people that love to talk, then it's never any conversation.
Yeah, and if you listen to this podcast, you gotta be used to people that love to talk. You can't.
Plus we do clips too, so
that's what a podcast is for.
Yeah.
I guess it's like you're gonna be okay. You know, you're gonna be okay. Whatever it is, you're gonna get through it. Somebody else has gone through it. I guess my whole thing that I live my life through is like, it's going to be okay. If it's not, it's only going to last for a short while, or it's going to kill you.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what they're doing, you know?
Yeah.
We're all born ignorant.
Exactly. You're born ignorant. You continue to be ignorant. And I think there's an idea that that's a bad thing.
No, it's not.
And like, if you're being ignorant and spewing a lot of things that you don't know about,
or don't
that's
believe
different.
That's different.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, you know, we talked about a lot of things that might be controversial. Religion, race, stuff like that. Race should not be controversial.
They should.
But
they should teach this in humanities.
Yeah. But if you're somebody that like has been listening, because this is to the viewers.
To the viewers.
If you're somebody that's been listening and like you disagree with something I or you guys have said,
I got the gloves. Pull up.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, you know, it's no hate.
No, your opinion is your own, and it's okay to have one.
Yeah, you can have your own opinion unless it's wrong.
I like it. Unless it's wrong. Yeah.
But nobody knows what they're doing.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing. You guys don't know what you're doing. The person listening doesn't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing.
You don't got the answer.
Yeah, it's maybe just like thinking about that when you go, you know, between this week and next week, thinking about that, about like how everybody's going through life and everybody's experiencing life at the same time. Maybe at different like points in time, but at the same time, you know, just because your elders does not mean they've got it all figured out. Yes. And just because somebody's super young, and don't get me wrong, I don't have it figured out at super young. I didn't have it figured out at 17. I definitely needed an adult. But that I needed the right one. And I think there's a beauty in growing up, as much as I hate getting old. And then, you know, I'm going to have the gray hairs and everything soon.
That's the best part.
I can't wait to get old.
Look at this. I got those little grays.
Listen, as
can't wait to get my grays, boy.
As a woman, where like you're expected to look a certain way. No. But part of getting old, I do really, and this is what I was talking about with my future, I do really look forward to being the adult that I didn't get to have.
That's awesome.
And
that's a good way.
And you know, people say that, be the person that your younger self needed. And if you know you're going through life and you're go ahead, talk your shit, talk gossip.
Yeah.
That's, you know. Make sure it's with somebody that you trust. I talked to Jeff about gossip. It's just stuck between me and him.
But I told her what goes in here doesn't come out of my mouth unless you want it to.
And you got to be that type of person. But be the person that you needed your younger self to be. I was in college. I was not the person I needed. And part of like growing up, like I grew up in a very conservative household. I heard all the stereotypes. I was told all the stereotypes, and I think, you know, they say nowadays that white people aren't, other than grandparents, aren't straight up racist, but they have racial ideologies that they've been told that they just assume are correct.
So it's in the back of their heads.
Subversive.
Yeah, they'll say like, oh, I'm not racist, but they'll say something that's obvious.
Yeah, you can date Spanish or black, but then they're like,
So I think a big thing for me that I guess I'm going through life figuring out, and like in college, and I didn't go through like high school calling people N-words or anything. Like I stayed pretty, you know, you were told it as a kid, and I was like,
I don't think I want to use that.
You do get mistaken as Spanish sometimes, though. Yeah. Especially at the airport.
But that doesn't necessarily mean like I wasn't in middle school or high school just like spewing hate. Yeah. I knew right away, like, I don't know if I agree with that, but there was something so beautiful about being in college and meeting other people and learning different, you know, cultures and experiences. And being like, you know what, this is the type of person I need to be. I want to be accepting.
Bruce, come here.
I want to be somebody that other people can be with, and go to. And that's just kind of how I started to shape myself and just be the person that, you know, I wanted to be and needed to be. And it's kind of heartwarming. I don't ever need to be successful in anything, although I'm a perfectionist, I do. I don't need to be successful in anything as long as I can look back and go like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm the adult that would have saved me.
Yes.
And it's morbid. Yes. It's sad.
No, it's not.
It's like sad in the sense
I resonate
of like,
with that.
Yeah, it's sad in the sense of like you think about younger you and you're like, oh my God, who put that kid through that.
Right.
But it's beautiful because you get to be that person.
It shaped you and
molded
you.
Because the buck stops here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it molded you to the person you are today.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be you if the events didn't happen.
I mean, not to say everybody should do that. Everybody should do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if everybody's doing that, or at least one person out of every 10 is doing that, think about how many kids we can save.
It would change the world. It changed the world.
And that's the thing. I mean, even down to government, we talk about how politicians are way too old to be in government.
Yeah.
They don't care about us, and that goes all the way back
and
to what
and they're taking their ideals from back in the day and trying to put it in today's society.
Because that works for them.
Because it works for them.
But it doesn't work for us.
No. Exactly.
If that's my thing, is if you grow up, or at least you start now thinking about, man, who did I need? And who, or if you're, a parent or a grandparent, and you think you're great for who you are now, think about like who your grandkids need. For those people that your grandkid maybe came out as LGBT or came out as, a different gender or whatever it may be, that was afraid to tell you, or a kid that had like a biracial or relationship. If they were afraid to tell you, there's something going on there.
Yeah.
And it's this idea of how can I better myself to be who they needed me to be, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, we do only relate to the people that matter to us. Yeah.
That's true.
Part of the reasons that you have like these neo-Nazis is because they don't have black people that matter to them.
Right.
They don't have Hispanic people that matter to them, so they don't care enough to learn. For me, it's okay. Well, I needed somebody to be there for me to take me away from these adults that were doing wrong to me, and I didn't have that. It's being somebody that's like, I had a multitude of friends, but I had friends who wouldn't talk to me about their experiences because I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. So how do I reach out? How do I learn? How do I become somebody that's an ally, not only to other races, but to my own community, like an LGBT.
Right.
Yeah. I guess this is kind of like my way of coming out as bisexual, because that's never been like, something that I straight up said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said it in like conversation, but like my parents don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah, because again, it comes down to like that conversation of, oh well, you just think that you haven't actually experienced it, therefore you can't be.
Right.
Yeah, they tell you how
to think and how to feel because
Bruce, come here.
X, Y, Z.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like being somebody that's still currently, I guess, in the closet in a way with my parents. How do I be the person that somebody can come up to me and just say like, hey, this is how I feel, or even down to something as simple as an opinion.
Right.
Hey, I feel this way. Of course, like I said, if you're like racist, sexist, blah, 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 I'm not going to agree with that. I'm going to tell you I don't agree with that. But I want you to feel you can come to me with that. If at the very least, if you're racist, I could be like, all right, cool. I don't really want to be friends anymore unless you're willing to work on that.
Right, exactly.
Like there's a difference. If you're coming to me saying, if you come to me and you're saying, hey, like, I have this preconception of Hispanics, or I have this preconception of black people, and I understand that might not be right, like, what is your experience like, or how did you work on it, or whatever, then I could be like, okay, cool, let's meet some of my friends, because I think one of the hardest things for especially people that have that, like, bigoted mindset, there was a girl we worked with whose son is, either her son or her nephew or somebody is a part of the LGBT, and she didn't know how to handle that. And it's this idea of being like, and she was asking me and like our decorator who was there with me at the time, she was asking like, well, what do you guys think? How would you handle that? And I mean, I don't mind if you ask questions. Right. And my decorator was like, some of the things she was saying were rude. Do you have an issue with that? I don't have an issue with that, because you're asking. You genuinely care. You want to know.
You want to know.
And I can't speak on the topic of like race, because I'm white. But on the topic of race, I would feel it's the same way.
Yeah.
If you are asking from a genuine place of care and understanding.
Why is it rude?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's okay, I guess, for like somebody, I get mistaken for Hispanic because people don't know what Greek people look like.
What is that?
Everybody,
That's wild.
Everybody loves to talk about the Greeks.
Wild.
Nobody knows what they look like.
That's wild.
I get mistaken for being
Bruce,
Hispanic all the time. So, somebody might say like, well, where are you from? I've had people ask, did you swim here? Things like that. And it's this idea of like, that's not a inappropriate, right? That's not right.
No.
But they don't know that.
But they don't know.
They're thinking like, well, that's what Cubans do, and it's like
they're thinking like the image they see is what media portrays, which is refugee, which is
trying to escape
poverty, which is, and
or
it's
like sorry, go ahead.
No.
Or like I grew up, like I said, I grew up in a very southern conservative household in Florida.
Yeah, Florida, baby,
Florida.
Yo.
So like I was told, I wasn't told, but in every little way I was told, like, black people are thugs, or their hair is dirty. And it's this idea of, I got to college and I was like, well, first of all, I was already like, well, there's white people doing crack, so
or Spanish people are illegal, or the stereotypes.
Every person, every Spanish person's illegal,
welfare,
or whatever.
all that shit.
Exactly. And then it came down to like, and it's tough to say like, oh, it was until college that I knew for a fact. I knew that there was something wrong with that. But in college, when I got to be my own self, I got to go out and ask. I built up the courage to like sit down with other people and say like, I didn't straight up go like, is your hair dirty? I didn't. But I did say like, what are preconceived notions that you experience as a black person every single day? And what about them is wrong? Because I knew that like, you and I are equal. Not according to the U.S. law, but
right.
But I knew we were equal. So then it was like, okay, I knew that like your hair is probably not dirty, but how do you do your hair? How do you do dreads?
Yeah.
How do black women work on their hair? Which, by the way, they do not get enough credit for the amount of work they put into their hair. Oh my God, the wigs.
You think braids. Black men are the ones who learned how to do dreads? Who you think was doing the hair? What?
I talked to a coworker.
I do my dreads on the weekends.
Listen, I talked to a coworker at the airport, and I was talking to her about hair, because one of the things that I am fascinated with is watching how black women have developed their hair over the years. And I do think there's a respect to it. Like, no, I don't think white women should be getting dreads. I don't think white women should be getting their hairs like cornrowed.
Kim Kardashian.
Like, I do think, like, if a white woman wants to do like Viking braids, absolutely, those are completely different from cornrows. Because white hair cannot handle cornrows. It's too tight. Too stressed. Like, at the end of the day, I have different hair from you. That's just how it is. So I had that conversation about it with her, and her opinion on it was that she doesn't care if a white woman wants to get her hair done. Some people have that opinion. That's fully up to them. As myself, I'm not going to do that because I think it's inappropriate for me to. I have my own culture, whether people know about the Greeks or not, but I have my own.
They exist.
But I can appreciate it. I can think it's so fascinating. So listening to her talk about the fact that she spends hundreds of dollars on her hair, the fact that braids can last a few weeks, which is why they'll do that, over a wig, which you have to get done every couple days.
Yeah.
Insane. And it's just one of those things where it's like, being respectful of others. So, I guess my last question is just be the person that you needed, and who others need you to be. It's so easy to be like, everybody's bad, everybody's against me.
Everyone's against you, right?
But the world seems a lot better when you're trying to experience it with
others. That's facts. Yeah. That's facts. Amen to that.
So, Jeff, what do you think?
Oh, dude, you're gonna be back. You're gonna be back a lot.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
First judge.
Absolutely. You're gonna be back a lot. We're gonna dive into everything. Existentialism. We're gonna talk about everything. We're gonna talk about politics, geopolitical shit. We can talk about bullshit. We can talk about TikToks. What the hell? Yeah. Man, I feel like you're someone I could talk to forever.
Yeah, well.
We can talk forever.
I told you.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is hopefully everybody else enjoyed it, and
Oh yeah.
I don't
like I said
your podcast.
Again, too. No, you're not. We try to resonate a message with everybody and give a person an open-minded perspective. That's why we started this, because everybody has their own opinions and a way of thinking, and instead of being narrow-minded and having a left or a right opinion, why not just be open-minded to? We're not saying to change.
Yeah.
But be willing to listen.
But understand you're in a world with other ideas. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that's why we might resonate, or I might resonate with this podcast so much, is this idea of everything's out there.
Everything's out there.
That's why aliens are real. Oh God. I'm so sorry.
Next time you come back, we're gonna talk about that alien sighting that was over.
All right, so we're doing Aliens Part 2. We did Aliens episode.
Oh yeah, Aliens Part 2 coming up, baby. We're gonna talk about that.
All right.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
All right, my man Jeff, take us out.
Thank you for joining us at the tabletop, guys. We had our special guest here today, Brooke. She was awesome. We're definitely inviting her back.
Most def.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Yeah. If you want to catch our episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can catch us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. And if you want to take a look at our ugly mugs on Wednesdays and Fridays, we will be on YouTube, one word, Tabletop Topics. And we also have our new clips channel that will be uploading old and brand new episodes every day. And TikTok.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
You guys have a good night, day, weekend, and or evening. Thank you.
Thank you.